Hi, everyone. This is Royce Eddings. This is the Royce in the House YouTube channel. And I'm really pleased to announce we're going to be talking about the Beach Boys tonight. And to this on this side of me, it's hard to tell right from left when you're on the screen, is Daddy Boggs. And Daddy Boggs and I go back about 4 years now. We were on other shows together. And you'll see the collection he's got, he's surrounded by. And Daddy Boggs is very knowledgeable on music. He's particularly knowledgeable on the Beach Boys themselves. And I really look to him for inspiration and leadership whenever we're talking about the Beach Boys. And below me is my good friend and co-host, Chris Elliott. And Chris, I know you're a big Beach Boy fan as well, aren't you? I mean, we all are. And
to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah. Well, I just want to say that, the Beach Boys, I've got to tell this little thing as we're getting started here. The Beach Boys were an inspiration for me to move to California. I was living in the desert, Las Vegas, Henderson, Nevada area. We always called it Vegas, even though we're 9 miles from Vegas and Henderson. But I tell you what, my cousins all lived in California. We'd visit them in the summer times. We'd stay at the different houses and visit with the cousins and aunts and uncles. And then we'd take a trip. We might go to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and Marineland and go to Huntington Beach or a couple of the nice beaches too. And I'll tell you what, I just fell in love with California. Okay. And I'll never forget, I was about 12 years old. The Beach Boys were already a big thing. I was 12, 13. And Dad took us to the beach on one of our California trips. And you can probably see the surfboard behind me. That's one of, I think, 6 of my surfboards. I was standing in the water about waist deep, and something hit me in the side of the leg, and I turned around. There was this big, beautiful yellow surfboard. And I looked up, and the sun was kind of in my eyes, and a girl says, thanks for stopping my board. Well, I stopped it because it ran into me. I didn't even see it coming. I go, oh yeah, sure. Beautiful blonde in a yellow bikini, tan body, and I'm handing her back her surfboard, and I was like, I have to move to California when I turn 18. And that's exactly what I did. And I moved here on the Central California coast. And I have surfed from, Santa Cruz, Steamer's Lane, which is a pretty heavy break. I remember jumping off the rocks one time as trying to paddle out to one of the lesser breaks. And every time a wave came in, it pushed my board back into the rocks. And I was getting kind of nervous there for a bit. But I've surfed from Steamer's Lane at Santa Cruz. I've surfed San Simeon. I've surfed Cambria. I've surfed Cayucas, multiple breaks. Morro Bay, my home break. I'm just 11 miles from Morro Bay. Multiple breaks. On down to Shell Beach, Pismo Beach, Oceano Beach. Then we take my raft to a boat-in-only place called the Ranch at Point Conception. There was 7 or 8 just hollowed ground surf breaks back there, and you can only get there by boat because the ranchers wouldn't let you in. So anyway, we'd take my raft, my inflatable, but we also took my neighbor's 37-foot sailboat. And one night in particular, we sailed into the ranch, okay? And there's a lot of offshore oil platforms up and down the California coast. And in this particular area, there's a few. So we're sailed in, and there's a ship that sits there, and it was nicknamed Mr. Clean because if there's an oil leak, it's their job in that ship to go, take care of the oil leak. So there was no oil tankers tied up to the big white ball. So my buddy that had the sailboat called Mr. Clean and said, hey, we've got a 37-foot sailboat. We're going to go surfing in the morning here at Percos. Is it okay if we tie up to the ball? And they said, yeah, go ahead. No one's coming in tonight. So I sat on the bow of the sailboat rocking with a flashlight looking for the big white ball floating so we could tie up to it. And we found it. We found my buddy who had the sailboat. He had a great GPS system and stuff. He had all the coordinates. In fact, we sail there at night. I mean, that's how good this GPS is because a lot of rocky areas along the way. So anyway, we went over. We tied it up to the ball. The next day, we untied from the ball. We got in close to Percos where we were going to go surfing. He dropped anchor, and I was kind of a newbie at surfing. In fact, I credit my neighbor with the sailboat getting me into surfing. And so we go paddling over to the lineup, and Pete gets there first. He's a good surfer. He grew up in San Francisco, and all his friends were watermen, surfed, fished, dove, you name it. And he gets over to the lineup, and he points back at me, and I'm still, trying to get in there. And he goes, my buddy's only been surfing for a couple of months. And one of them turned to him and said, what are you trying to do, get him killed? Because it was like a double overhead day. So Pete Pete turns around and he goes, "Hey, Royce, I forgot to tell you, if a wave's about to crash on you, try to dive for the bottom and get below it." And boy, I got washed up on the rocks on shore like for 2 freaking days. Anyway, enough of all that. We're talking about the Beach Boys tonight. I want to welcome everybody that's joined us so far. We got Piccolina the cat. Hi, how are you? Groovy Lisa. We'll be getting around maybe when Boggs or Eric are talking. I'll start showing some chat. But okay, so the Beach Boys were formed in Hawthorne, California, kind of a suburb of Los Angeles, okay, in 1961. The original lineup consisted of the Wilson brothers. There was Brian Wilson, the oldest, 2 years younger than him, and he was considered a musical genius. Brian was just incredible. He played bass, he played piano, he composed all the songs in the beginning, and he was just an incredible talent. Okay, child prodigy. Okay, so you had Brian, 2 years younger than him was Dennis, the drummer, and 2 years younger than Dennis was Carl, the lead guitar player. Okay, so you had the 3 Wilson brothers. Their cousin, Mike Love, who they spent a lot of time with growing up because they were cousins, he was the, kind of the front man, lead singer, although they all sang, they all harmonized. And then you had their across the street neighbor, and this was considered the original lineup. I think there might have been somebody before Al Jardine, their across the street neighbor, who came in and played rhythm guitar. Daddy Boggs, maybe you could tell us maybe about the background there.
David Marks.
Well, who was it?
David Marks.
Okay, so now why did he leave? And then when they invited Al Jardine in,
Al went to dental school.
Okay.
And Murry really didn't get along too well with David. He was a neighbor, and he was real young. But him and Carl really kicked out the surf guitar music.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But
him
Murray,
and Carl,
I don't think liked him. So they convinced Al to leave dental school and come back and join the band. But
I got you.
David's on like the first 4 or 5 albums.
Okay. Once again, I want to introduce my co-host. Below me is Chris Elliott. Chris has been coming on our show as a regular for some time now, and we really appreciate having him here. And then next to me is the one and only Daddy Boggs, who's very authoritative on music and a huge Beach Boys fan. Now, I remember, Daddy Boggs, you were going to Beach Boys Talk, which was a live podcast, 2 brothers. And you told me about it, and I started going. I didn't make it every week, but I was going, and we were both in the chat. And
well, this one particular week, the one brother, Greg, is out in California. He's getting together with Annie. Well, it was Annie Wilson at the time.
Okay.
Carl's first wife. He's hooking up with her again, and he went to see Frankie Valli and met Frankie Valli Saturday night at a concert.
That's totally cool. Brian's first wife, she was in a female surf band that was
Honeys.
which one was it again?
The Honeys.
The Honeys, yeah, that's right. And that's how he met her, and they were supposed to be a pretty good band, one of the only surf girl bands, and he met her and married her, and they were married for a number of years. But
Marilyn.
Marilyn Wilson.
Yeah.
Of course, she has another last name now from being remarried.
Yeah, Rutherford.
Okay. Thank you.
What was that? I think it's.
No, I think you're right. Okay. So the Wilson brothers were always around music because their father, Murry, was a musician, professional songwriter, and had a lot of connections. Okay. And Brian, the oldest son, studied music theory in school. Now, growing up wasn't easy for them. First of all, their father, Murry, could be really mean. Okay. He would beat them pretty severely, and he would not torture, but you know what I'm saying? He would basically abuse them, not only physically, but mentally. Murry, their father, had one glass eye. He lost his eye. I think it was at a machine shop he was working in. And one of the things he would do to Brian, who was his favorite target, Brian Wilson, the genius Brian Wilson, tried to beat all the genius out of him, I guess, but he would take that glass eye out and force Brian to stare into the cavity there. Have you heard that story, Daddy Boggs?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that sickening? So they got beat a lot. I know Dennis, the drummer, the second oldest, got pretty severely beat up. And I think he even wound up burning the Thunderbird to the ground that he took out when he wasn't supposed to. What, are you familiar with that story?
I heard something about it.
Yeah, he poured gas all over it and threw a match on it and burned it up. But he got abused pretty good too. I think maybe Carl escaped a little bit of it.
He was the baby.
Yeah, he was the baby. So by then, it's just like my younger brother. Everything I wanted and didn't get, he got 2 or 3 of. Finally, you wear their parents down, and then they finally, start giving in to the younger siblings. So anyway, I guess the mother was, considered an alcoholic on top of Murray being pretty brutal guy, So they kind of just started out as a garage band. Brian's songwriting, managed by, the father, Murray. He was a musician, songwriter himself. And I guess he did have an album out, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a 1-step, 2-step, something like that.
Yeah, had some success.
It was played on Lawrence Welk.
So the band enjoyed their first national hit with Surfin' USA, but prior to that, Dad decided he would introduce them to somebody he knew, and that guy happened to be, let's see, what was his name? Height?
Capitol Records.
Yeah, he introduced him to that guy, and the wife just really loved how they sounded because they went into the studio, and so she said, no, we're gonna make this record. We're gonna make this record. So they did, and a few days later they made a cleaner copy of it, but they made one on the spot that night. Well, they released it, and they were getting a lot of local recognition, and they were being played on a local radio station. Well, this radio station had a contest every week. Whoever song was getting requested the most, the following week, they would really focus on that band and that song. So what's funny is the Beach Boys, every time they called to request their own song, they would use a different voice. They would change their voice. And so they called so many times amongst them. And of course, it was a popular song people liked, that they won the contest. So they were totally featured the following week.
Yeah, the song was Surfing.
Surfing, yeah. Prior to Surfing USA, yeah. But so anyway, anything you want to add to this, Daddy Boggs?
Well, what actually happened is the Wilsons went away. The parents went away. They gave the kids money for food and all, and they went and rented instruments.
Yeah. They went away to Mexico and left the kids with $100 for food while they were gone. And when they got back, they said, the parents said, well, what did you do while we were gone? They said, well, we recorded a song. And Dad was actually pretty damn proud of that. So anyway, so yeah, like you were saying, the father I was saying, played the piano. But you know what Brian really got into at the young age of 16, he was getting into listening to certain groups. He was getting into listening to some vocal jazz stuff. And he just absolutely went crazy over a band called the Four Freshmen. And they had what Brian thought was the most incredible harmonizing he'd ever heard in his life. Brian memorized every single one of their songs, would play them and harmonize with him. And he turned and instructed and taught the rest of the group to be, in my opinion, maybe one of the top few harmonizing bands ever. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, the Everly Brothers, they enjoyed that late 50s music. Mike Love and Brian were into that late 50s music.
Yes, they were. Right. Yeah, they were listening to all these old bands. I mean, they were influenced by Chuck Berry. They were influenced by Little Richard. In fact, they were influenced by all the very bands that were influencing the Beatles. They both those bands had the same influences,
Four Seasons.
The Four Seasons, absolutely. Yeah. George, Music for All Seasons, has joined us. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. We're talking about the Beach Boys and enjoying the conversation. So anyway, so they were listening to K Fox radio show, inspired by simple structure and vocals of the rhythm and blues songs they'd heard. Brian changed his piano playing style because of the songs he was hearing. And, Brian taught Love's sister, Maureen, and a friend, Harmonies, Later, Brian Love and two friends performed at the Hawthorne High School. This was kind of before it was the Beach Boys, it was the
Pendletones.
Pendletones. Yeah, and that was kind of a parody, or not a parody, but a pun on the Pendleton shirts that were so popular at the time.
Flannel
But they were all wearing. Yeah. Pendleton flannel shirts. That's right. So anyway, just a lot of stuff to talk about, and so Murry, sometimes songwriter, arranged for the Pendletones to meet his publisher, Height Morgan. That's what I was just talking about. And his wife in particular fell in love with that demo of Surfin'. And that's how that all got kicked off. But what happened was somebody that was involved, Candix Records and Era Records, she signed the group on December 8th. She wanted to name the group the Surfers instead. But Russ Keaton, who she worked with, found out there was already a band named the Surfers, so he suggested calling them the Beach Boys. Okay, and that Surfing was a regional success for the West Coast, and it reached number 75 on the national Billboard chart. So anyway, so that's how they got their name. It was from one of their record labels suggesting it. And I think that's kind of an amazing story.
Well, you have to say about Murry. Murry was good and bad as the time went on. He was especially important at the beginning because he was in the music business, and he didn't want to see the kids get ripped off. So he was a strong vocal point at the beginning. Good
and bad. And you know what? The dads could be a little mean back in the day, right after World War II. And it's not that they didn't love you, and it's not that Murry didn't love his three sons.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could really be short-tempered. They didn't want to put up with anything. Yeah. I know my dad's favorite punishment was a leather belt. He'd wrap it around his hand and he'd beat you. And it was okay to cry when you were younger because that's when he'd stop. But as you started to get a little older, you get beat half to death. You didn't want to cry. And I mean, and we loved him. And I have to say, in his defense, he was working a night shift, and me and my little brother fought and make noise all day long, and he must have warned us 5, 6, 7 times to stop making so damn much noise, go outside and play or whatever, and we just weren't very smart, I guess, because we just never learned. We absolutely never learned. Okay, look at that. We've got Blood-Sucking Freak. Gotta love nicely harmonizing voices in the right stereo, spreading mixed down chart. Gotta love the group's effort at that point. Oh man, you really have to love the group's effort, And we had a comment up here from Foxo Chaka. Beach Boys are magic. Was lucky to see them twice in 73 and 78. Oh my God, I am so jealous. They were here like about 6 weeks ago. But I mean, when I say they were here, there's only one member left, and then people that he's added. And I passed on that. You know what I mean? It's just not the same. What I really kicked myself for, same with Led Zeppelin, is I was living in Anaheim when the Beach Boys in 74 played Anaheim. It's like, what the hell? What was I thinking? And Zeppelin played all around me, and the Stones were playing. Of course, I've seen the Stones twice and had tickets for a third concert before COVID hit. But I never got to see Zeppelin. I never got to see the Beach Boys. And boy, I can't hardly forgive myself for that.
I always seen them up front. If I couldn't be up front, I wouldn't want to go because a lot of their concerts, you could stand up front. So if you went early enough, you were up front right by the stage.
Well, I'll tell you something. That's exactly how Betty and I got. We have our Paso Robles Fairgrounds. It fits. It's a huge arena. It fits thousands upon. I mean, I don't know, 15,000 people. It's a big arena. And once you start getting up front, first 5, 6 rows or something like that, you don't want to sit in the back anymore. I mean, that's hard to take. I mean, I've had too many of those in the back. I had one concert I went to, and it was a great band. And we were down on the floor, which is the folding metal seats. And behind us was all where the seats started to rise, which we would have been better off back there because as soon as they started singing, everybody in front of us, we were in the last row of the folding seats on the floor. all the way to the stage. Everybody in front of us jumped up on top of their chair and stayed there. And I jumped up on mine, and it just wasn't working out, and I'm losing my balance and stuff. And I think we stayed for 2 or 3 songs. We just walked out. I couldn't deal with that anymore. Now that's what I like about our Vina Robles amphitheater here, where I recently saw Jason Bonham, An Evening with Led Zeppelin. There is no bad seats. It's just a little winery with a nice little amphitheater they built, a nice stage. Saw Alice Cooper there a couple of years ago. Saw Jason Bonham. Saw Bryan Adams. Let's see. Recently, well, Eric. Alice Cooper had come back this past year, and I didn't go that time. But there was a bunch of people there, and I've missed out on some really good concerts. But again, there are no bad seats, and it's always reasonable compared to the bigger venues, And Santa Barbara Bowl's not too bad. Betty and I drove down about 3 years ago and saw Rod Stewart. He plays down there a lot. I mean, you get at the Vina Robles, you get people like Jackson Browne come in, maybe Fogerty comes in. ZZ Top's coming in a couple of months. I mean, you get great bands there, and even sitting in the grass above the seats, there's actually more expensive seats behind the grass at tables. So sitting in the grass are great seats too, So it's pretty cool, man, and I enjoy going to concerts. We were just given tickets to see Queen Nation, it's a Queen tribute band. Okay, this little casino in Santa Ynez sent us tickets because we go there once in a while, have our little players cards and stuff. So we'll be going to that, and I think it's this next Saturday. Next Saturday is that Queen tribute show. So we'll be going to that. I don't have anything else scheduled, but yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Just thinking, there was one time I saw anything to the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson came to the casino here in Windsor.
Yeah,
it was probably one of the worst shows I've ever been to. It was.
Oh, was it really? That's too bad.
It was a complete embarrassment. He come out like he was comatose. They sat him on his piano. I kid you not.
No, I believe that. Yeah.
And he fell off twice during the set, and they just propped him back up. It was disgusting. Whoever.
Oh my God! Well, they were all in with the counterculture and drugs, Well, and I mean that was a really insane.
Like he was desperate. He needed money, and they just kept putting him out there or something. It was awful.
Yeah,
he should not.
Well, Brian only performed for a while, and then he didn't want to perform anymore. He was still writing the songs and mixing the music and putting it all together because he was a genius at doing that. But he decided one day he just didn't want to go out there and be on stage in front of everybody. It was a kind of insecure thing or something. But he did suffer from mental illness. In fact, he had a therapist or psychiatrist that actually moved into his house and overstayed his welcome. They finally had to kick him out. And he was pretty much getting to the point where he was controlling everything. But he did help Brian get better. He did get better from that,
That was Eugene Landry.
Yeah, and this guy basically lived with him. Brian did crazy things. I mean, he wanted beach sand in his house so he'd feel like he's at the beach. And so in one of the rooms, I don't know how many tons of sand they brought in. You sit there on the couch and have your feet in the sand.
But I mean, watch out for the doggy do.
Yeah, right. The cat litter too. Yeah. But I mean, his house was always full of people, everybody partying, everybody high, everybody smoking weed, everybody popping pills. I don't know what else was there. Probably some uppers and things like that, I think were mentioned.
He had a good friend, Danny Hutton from Three Dog Night, who used to come over to Brian's house a lot. And Danny called everybody Darlin'. That's what gave Brian the idea for the song Darlin'.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, it was just a full-blown zoo, and you could tell his wife. I've watched 2 or 3 documentaries, in the last couple of weeks and stuff like that, movies about the Beach Boys, and you don't know how much of it's Hollywood kind of stuff, how much is real, how much is Hollywood. But he really got into the drug scene, and he quit performing. And I think the first person to take his place, if I'm not mistaken, was Glenn Campbell playing the bass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we know he's a heavyweight when it comes to the guitar and everything. Glenn Campbell, like Jimmy Page and some of the others, was a session musician, when you hear him, if you Google Jimmy or do a YouTube search of Glenn Campbell solos, if you just thought of him as like, you know, the Wichita Lineman and those kinds of songs, he is an incredible accomplished guitar player. And yeah, well, here's our semi-regular, mostly regular co-host Michael Nolan. That's not the Beach Boys. That's the tribute band.
There's so many.
Yeah,
tribute bands out there.
Michael always keeps us straight on that. You know, I mean, like I said, the Beach Boys had one member. You know, and I just couldn't go there. I mean, I just don't want to see that. You know,
Not cheap either.
yeah. I mean, hey, Michael. I mean, I'll put up a link if you want to come on and join us. I know your wife is sick tonight, and I appreciate you doing the right thing there. But if you got everything under control, you want to pop on for a few minutes. The link just went
But what
up.
What happened with Brian in the recent years? The touring kind of wore him down. He would just sit behind the piano, sing certain songs, and he was singing lead on some songs that he didn't sing lead on. That they were Mike Love.
Yeah.
So it kind of wore him down.
You know, Danny Boggs, did you ever get the impression that maybe? Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Did you ever get the impression that Mike Love was a little bit jealous of the attention that Brian got?
Well, it came down to that lawsuit where Mike Love felt he was entitled to 15, 20 songs that he didn't get credit for. He added words. He was good with the words, where Brian was the music man.
Right. Hey, Johnny L.
Hi,
You know everybody here, right? I mean,
Yeah. I know. Yep.
Johnny's been a regular co-host for some time.
Johnny.
Like all of us, you miss a show here and there, but we really appreciate you making this one. Are you a big Beach Boy fans? I'm sure you are from the era that you came from.
You know, that's the thing. I am, and I went to several Beach Boys concerts back in the late 70s, I believe, or something like that, in Toronto. Late 70s, early 80s, somewhere around there. I've been to a few. They were a kind of a they used to come to Toronto quite a bit to play. So I did go to a few of them, and I loved their concerts. But the thing is, I have the only thing is I have only one Beach Boy album, and I happened to clean it before I got this cleaner thing, and I ended up cracking it a little bit on the first couple tracks.
Oh man, I'm sorry. You know, I have to show this. It's not the Beach Boys, but I wanted to show this, Daddy Boggs, when you talked about being right up at the front of the stage. About 7 or 8 years ago, Dick Dale came to town, and there's a little bar in San Luis Obispo called Slow Brew. They've since built a much bigger one out by the airport. But this one was, it wasn't like a tiny, tiny bar. It had an upstairs to it. The bar was downstairs. There was a small room upstairs with a stage. And guess what? Dick Dale came to Slow Brew. And I walked in, and I was like, there's like about 40 people in there, and you could walk right up to the stage, and people were going up and down, getting drinks down below and getting involved with friends down below. And I was just mesmerized. This is Dick Dale, king of surf guitar, and I do have a Dick Dale album here, Surfer's Choice, with Miserlou and so many great songs on it. I won't read the song list, but anyway, I wanted to mention that when you talked about the small venues, because to stand at the stage with nobody even rubbing shoulders with you and watch Dick Dale perform was just, and his son was playing with him, and that was kind of cool. And I think Fender was getting ready to release an acoustic guitar. Yeah, go ahead.
I had this one for a long, 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 long time.
Okay.
And it broke my heart when I started cleaning my head, because this vinyl, this wax, it's pretty flimsy. Right? Oh
yeah, I have some like
it's
that.
Very easy. It's very easy to crack, right? So right here, I don't know if you can see it, but right here, there's a crack line right there. Okay?
Oh yeah, that's too bad, man. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, especially while you're flexing it.
Boys, I think you showed an album called The Sounds of Summer. For the average fan, that album has all the hits on it. The only thing I regret is it didn't have The Little Girl I Once Knew on it, or else
Oh.
it would be totally complete.
Okay, yeah, I've got a few albums here. Surf and Safari. I mean, this was their first album, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really took them to nationwide prominence.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, like I said, I credit things like the Beach Boys and experiences I had visiting in California with wanting me almost obsessed with moving to California as soon as I got out of high school. And one of the things that was like one of the things, other than the girl in the yellow bikini whose yellow surfboard bumped into me and she walked up and thanked me. She looked like a goddess. I mean, the sun was behind her. I was kind of squinting and it looks like she had a halo on, And so anyway, I had so many, everything was pointing to California for me. Okay. And so that's what I did. But also across the street, my best friend lived across the street in Henderson, Nevada. And his older brother, who was probably 5 years older than me, I was 12 or 13 years old. He was an older teenager. He was in a car club, one of the old school car clubs with the plaque in the back window, and everybody's car was like just badass. I mean, 55, 6 and 7 Chevys. They'd run them down to Tijuana and either have tuck and roll or diamond tuck interior done for $160. Man, you got both seats, the door panels. For another $60, they'd redo your headliner, And so they all had like pristine interior. You had to take your own thread, though. If you let them use their cheap thread, it'd start coming out. So everybody knew to take their own thread and to watch them, because they might stuff your seats with pot and then contact their people in the United States, go over there and slice your seats open and take the weed out, and go sell it. So anyway, there's all kinds of little tricks you had to know about. And they'd all have new paint jobs back when paint jobs cost, $200, $150. And they just had the most beautiful cars. And Ronnie, my older neighbor, was the president of the car club. Okay. And so they always met once a week at his house. So all of these beautiful cars, I'd be directly across the street from me, parking up and down the street in front of my house, in front of their house. And they went inside and they turned on the Beach Boys, full volume, left the front door open. And it just, I grew to really love that music, man. And it wasn't just the Beach Boys. It was Jan and Dean and Dick Dell and some of the other, famous. Go ahead,
Royce,
Johnny.
I heard, first of all, Jan and Dean, I think, were the original surfer.
With
surfing
Dick Dale before them.
And secondly, I heard that Mike Love wasn't really the greatest guy to get along with in the Beach Boys. He was pretty egotistical. Like that's what I read.
You can almost see that a little bit just watching him. You know what I mean?
Well, he used to battle with Dennis to see who could get the most girls.
Yeah, Dennis was popular with the ladies. The thing about Dennis, we haven't talked much about Dennis. He was the drummer. And, I've been giving Brian basically all the credit, as far as like writing and producing and structuring songs and everything like that. But, when Brian started stepping out of the spotlight, working in the background, off and on there too, Carl, the lead guitar player, and Dennis, the drummer, the Wilson brothers, really stepped up. I mean, they had a hell of a lot more talent than anybody knew, because of Brian always took the lead on creating all the songs and stuff.
Well, you had Carl, who put out 2 solo albums, and then Dennis put out Pacific Ocean Blue, which has some great songs on it. So he came a long way in the studio.
And Dennis, he did. And they both did. And Dennis was the only Beach Boy that surfed. I guess Brian tried it once and the board came up and hit him in the face or something. And he never went back out again.
And then you got Dennis stealing Charles Manson's song.
Well, yeah, I can't remember the name of that song, but
it was originally called Cease to Exist. And Dennis changed the name, or Brian did, to Never Learn Not to Love.
Okay. Well, here the story goes like this when it comes to Dennis Wilson and Charles Manson and the Manson family. Dennis Wilson was driving down the street, and there was a couple of, nice looking girls on the side of the road hitchhiking, and he picked them up. Well, it just so happens they happened to be Charles Manson followers. They lived on the ranch with Charles Manson. So as fate would have it, they told Charles Manson, let's see, what is Michael saying? My first 3 records I ever got was my new Christmas gift record player. I got a Beach Boys compilation album with Jan and Dean and Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass and the Four Seasons album. You know, interesting, even today, surf culture has kind of adopted some Herb Alpert songs as surf songs.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask you something, but
No. Go ahead. I'm just rambling.
What's
here.
your opinion on the pet
Pet sounds?
Pet sounds?
Pet
Well,
sounds?
it was such a change of direction for them that a lot of the critics didn't like it, but it's since become an absolute classic and a masterpiece and considered by many their very best work. How do you feel about that, Daddy Boggs? How do you feel about
The Beach Boys were on tour in Japan, and when they returned, Brian brought them into the studio to hear these musical tracks.
Right.
And this was with the Wrecking Crew, and it was a totally different sound. And then when the Wrecking Crew had no idea what the final outcome was because they never heard the vocals. They just did the music.
Okay.
So when all the vocals were completed, they were all amazed with it.
Yeah,
You know?
well, I have it and I like
Yeah.
it, and thanks for that story. Only you would have known that. But I mean, when I look at the track list, wouldn't it be nice? I love that song.
We had 3 hit records on it.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice? Let's see what else would be a hit. Sloop John B. I'm sure that was one of the hits.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And God only knows.
God only knows. I was just getting ready to
That's a
say
good
that.
one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so yeah, no, this is a great album. And like I said, the critics were hard on it early on because it was different. But over time, it's been accepted as their masterpiece, hasn't it?
And later on, that album was re-released with an album called Call on the Passion, So Tough.
Okay.
And Pet Sounds is on the back of it. So it was released twice.
So in your opinion, it would be because I'm playing. I want to get one, and that's one I heard a lot about. And so, in your opinion, that would be a good one to get, I suppose. Right?
That would be a good one to get. You know, I got really lucky. I found this at my favorite used antique store, and
I would go with the Sounds of Summer.
I did pay kind of a lot for it. I don't know if you can see the tag right here. It kind of blends in, but I paid $28 for it.
Oh, that's not much.
No, but it's pristine. It's
I
pristine.
want to sell all my vinyl. Anybody interested? I got 30 Beach Boy albums.
Well, yeah, we need to talk later. I
wanted to point out, Royce, how we met. You know, you can tell people quickly about how we met, and when we lost, how we went to rehab.
And I know Michael Nolan's heard me talk about this other show we were in, and this show was called Talking Wax. It was a relative of mine who we don't speak anymore, unfortunately, because we're actually pretty close at one time. But anyway, it was a relative of mine. He created this show, and every Saturday night he had what they called Talking Wax, and you would three. There were 3 competitions. 2 people would go against each other, not only showing an album, but telling a story about why the album was so important to them. And if you won, what was the name of that company, that record company that would send us free vinyl?
I got the album put away. I never opened it. It's the Rolling Stones Honk. I never opened it.
Yeah, I got a Living Color album, and I actually lost
to Jeff.
I lost to Jeff Davidson, but he insisted that I take the album, and they sent me that and the Cars album, which was a good one. But yeah, I have the same thing, you know. And here, when you got sent to the ward, you'd lost in the competition. So I want to see if you went to rehab. Let me find myself here because I can't do this backwards. I'm right here where my finger is, and you can see I've got a black eye. Okay, here's Dan McNew with the. Everybody knows who Dan is. He co-hosts a lot. He's got his arm in a sling. There's Daddy Boggs. I can't tell from here what your injury was.
I lost.
You lost. Okay. Next to Daddy Boggs is Ed Stasium, who played in a pretty prominent band, then became a producer and produced bands like the Ramones and a dozen others. Next to him, laying
The
in
late
bed with a
Colonel.
bandage on his nose, the Colonel who passed away while we were all in that show together. Then now, who was the guy on the end there? I got it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't
Levi?
remember. Levi. Yeah, Levi. Okay, then down here in this bottom corner, if I can get to the right corner.
Yeah.
She's on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. She won some competitions too.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was being, yeah,
They actually called her the Queen.
the Queen. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you've got Pat the Wizard, and Pat sells records. He's got an online record store called The Wizard's Lair. He's got the robe on here. Looks like Obi-Wan. He's got The Wizard's Lair, spelled Thee. He's got just about all the great rock albums you'd want. Next to him, where it says Talking Wax, do you remember who this is? I can't hardly.
I forget his name.
Right.
He was a musician.
Okay, and then on the far end over here, we have Ashley Alexander. Ashley was from England. He was kind of a young, good-looking guitar player that played in a couple of different bands, and had a lot of his music online and stuff like that. And I went up against him twice. I went up against him twice, and I absolutely demanded to go against him the second time, and he still beat me because he was popular, and nobody could beat him because of his popularity. I think the girls really liked him, you know. Anyway, so we had fun doing all that stuff while it lasted, and Daddy Boggs was like, "Go ahead, Daddy, go ahead."
Well, I was going to show. This is when it started for me in 1964.
Okay.
It's the first album I bought. Fun was the hit, but it had a hidden treasure on it that nobody really knew about. It was called "Don't Worry, Baby."
Oh, that was a great song. Yeah.
And that came out later on the flip side of "I Get Around" on the 45.
Okay.
So if you didn't have the album, you never heard "Don't Worry, Baby" until you got "I Get Around" on the 45.
Okay.
So that was kind of a hidden treasure.
Yeah. A lot of great harmonizing in that song, isn't there?
I'm going to show one more album.
Yeah, go for it.
This is another original one, and it's
nice.
hard to tell, but up in the corner it says "Don't Break Down," and the name of the song is "Don't Back Down."
Oh, wow.
If you turn it around, you see "Don't Back Down" at the bottom here, but on the front, it's a misprint. It says "Don't Break Down."
You know, oftentimes those misprints add value.
Original albums.
Yeah. Let's see
But
what Ruby.
1964 is when it started for me, and I always tell the story. I was hanging out with my friends, and I said, "I'll see you guys tomorrow." They said, "Where you going?" I said, "The Beach Boys are on Ed Sullivan." So they make faces and go on. So I go home and watch 1964 Sunday night. I'm watching Ed Sullivan and the Beach Boys sing "I Get Around" in Wendy, and those are available on YouTube. So that got me started. And though we had a beach in New York called Rockaway Beach, which the Ramones had a big hit with.
Okay,
and then just a few years ago, the Beach Boys did a cover of that song, Rockaway Beach.
Right.
So we had our beach, but it wasn't California.
Right.
So I competed with people like Ricky Nelson fans, Elvis fans, the Platters, Bill Haley.
I tell you what.
So I picked up on the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And
me and my cousins used to debate that. You know, as much as I loved the Beach Boys, I was a little more towards the Beatles. So whenever I went to California, we would argue who was better and who had the most hits, and we'd take turns naming hits. And it seemed it always ended in a draw. But I loved both bands.
Then Johnny. I was going to say, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
No, I was going to say to Johnny, he probably would remember this one. The Capri's had the song "There's a Moon Out Tonight."
Yeah.
Well, one of them lived around the corner from me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
right?
and they got the other one. There's a moon out again.
And then they had a doo-wop song that was released 10 years later called "The Morse Code of Love."
That's right.
That's a great song.
Whatever. Right?
You know, Daddy Boggs, you remember Steve Midtham? He was on the Talking Wax show with us. He says he misses Talking Wax. Well, we all do in some respects.
I think Steve is.
It was fun.
I think he's from Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, he's good friends with Robbie Detroit.
Yeah, he goes
Yeah,
on Joe May. Robbie Detroit goes on Joe Mayo's show a lot.
Yeah, I go on it every once in
the
a while because
chat.
I'll wake up. I wake up early and I'll turn my phone on and it's 5 a.m. and Joe Mayo's on.
Yeah, I was just going to show a few things before it gets too
Yeah,
late.
go for it. Go for it.
This was the Beach Boys fan club that I was a member of, and you got decals and different things, and it shows everybody represented by each state as a representative.
Wow. What year was that, Daddy Boggs?
I was living in Massachusetts at the time. So it had to be the 70s.
Okay.
January 1977.
Nice. 77. Yeah. Well, that was an interesting time for the Beach Boys because it was kind of post-British invasion and all those bands were really making a big splash. And I know that when Brian Wilson heard, I think it was Rubber Soul, it really kind of sent him in a whole nother direction. You know, he was really impressed with the work they did on that. But we were talking a little while ago about Dennis Wilson, the drummer, how he picked up a couple of hitchhikers. They were members of the Charles Manson family. They told Charlie, hey, we met a guy, he's in the Beach Boys. You got to meet this guy. So pretty soon they met. And before you knew it, Charles Manson and his whole entourage was hanging out at Dennis Wilson's house. And everybody was, you know, partying and getting high and stuff like that. And unfortunately, fortunately, Dennis finally got rid of them. You know, they did make a song. I mean, Charlie Manson did write one song that they did. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe you do, Daddy Boggs.
Not okay. Well, he had the one that Dennis Wilson took.
Okay.
It was cease to resist, and he changed it to never learn not to love. But to take it a step further, Mike Love and Bruce Johnson went up to the house, and Mike Love would say him and Bruce were the only ones with clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right. And he finally, Dennis came home one night and all the windows were open and there was Charlie Manson standing in the middle of the room and all these girls were, and they were basically like worshiping him like he was God, you know. And I think they were all on acid, which was a common occurrence for that group. And well, it wasn't that uncommon for the Beach Boys either. I mean, Brian and the rest of them.
Well, Charlie was looking for a music contract, and he was looking for Terry Melcher, who was a producer for the Byrds and a few other people. And
gotcha.
When he went up to the house, Melcher had already moved out, and that's when Sharon Tate and the other person were there.
Right.
So, yeah, he was kind of upset that he didn't get this music deal.
Yeah, kind of upset about that, but it was shortly after he saw them all sitting around in a circle, basically worshiping Charlie. You see the look on his face, and he was kind of freaked out out that, and he finally
I can imagine. Jeez.
got him the hell out of there. I know, right, Johnny L.
Be right out the door. Holy shit! I'd be going, no, I don't want none of that shit.
But you know, sadly, Dennis Wilson, the drummer, died at 39 years old.
Yeah, pretty
young.
Yeah.
It was on a boat. It was in the harbor. You know, they weren't out to sea or anything. Pardon me?
It was his friend's boat. He was trying to get his boat back, and he was diving, retrieving articles from his previous marriage.
Yeah, he was
coming up, and then they didn't see him for a while, so they thought he was joking around because he was a joker, and he was athletic. And when he didn't come up, when they didn't see him for a few minutes, they got worried. And finally, they called the Coast Guard, and within a half hour or so, they found him. He must have hit his head underneath.
Well, that's what I kind of read. I read that a couple of things. The water was cold, you know, that night, and so he could have developed hypothermia. I've almost had that myself, being in the water that was so cold. But they also said these docks were concrete, you know, that they were tied up to. They think maybe he came up and smacked his head into the concrete dock, you know. Mm. Yeah.
I was going to bring up one more thing because of Facebook. This should have been 50 years ago. I'm meeting and became friends with Al Jardine.
That's amazing.
Fred Vail was on the original first concert. It was his idea for the Beach Boys to release a concert album. And he's the one who says, now, from Hawthorne, California, to introduce you tonight. I didn't know that right away until I met Fred on Facebook.
Wow.
And a couple of people that are the backup group.
Okay.
The name is the ones who persuaded Brian to go back out on tour.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm friends with a couple of them.
I can't think of that's awesome. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but well, of course you remember it. Billy Henschke that played with the Beach Boys for a while, and he had a show, and he was such a cool guy, a real gentleman. He'd play the piano and stuff like that. And you told me about the show, and I would go there, and we'd both be in the chat sometimes.
This might be the last picture of Billy.
Yeah, he died, what, about 3 years ago?
Yeah,
3
and
years
then
ago?
I had the guitar picks.
The guitar picks. Oh, wow.
And I wore a hat on his show.
That's great, man. You've got some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I wanted to mention that I've got a couple of shout outs to do. We've been joined by a couple of new people. P401's here. I mentioned that earlier. Psycho's Platter has hopped in. But I have to do a shout out. You know, I have a membership that people can join to help support the show. And I got to give a shout out to Sean McCall. It's just been set up in the last couple of weeks, and Sean McCall was the first one to join tier 3 of the membership, which is the highest tier. So it'll help me to get better equipment, you know, buy more music, and just stuff that helps me do a better job on the show, you know. And so I really want to appreciate that. Sean McCall, if you're listening, thank you, brother. I appreciate you joining my Patreon account and being a member that supports the show. It really means a lot to me. So here's Psycho's Platter.
The name of that group was the Wonderments. They were performing Beach Boys songs, and Brian thought they were great. So they actually came on tour with Brian and was his backup band.
And they were the Wonderlands?
Wondermints.
Wondermints. Okay. I have read that before. I just couldn't remember how you pronounced it.
And I have some Brian. I was a member of Brian Wilson's fan club.
So you were.
So I have these magazines, Breakaway.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I have 3 articles on that. And there's one with the, let me get my act together here.
Okay.
There's one with he's holding the dog.
Yeah.
And I got one personalized.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Says
Yeah,
to Don Brian Wilson.
Yeah, you've got some great stuff there, man.
Yep.
I mean,
So Daddy Bug, what's Brian Wilson doing now? Is he still?
He has people taking
involved?
care of him.
Yeah. So he's not involved with the.
No, he's home now.
yeah, I guess he's got dementia right now, doesn't he?
In fact, a couple of people took him to a Laker game last week, so they got him out of the house.
Oh, okay.
He went to
Good.
a basketball game.
Yeah.
But he, 81 was he 81? Yeah, it's tough.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah.
The
up there.
concert I referred to earlier, that was, I think, in the year before or just before COVID hit is when I saw him, and he was already suffering. Then he should not have been on tour. They should not have let him tour. It was.
No, that's too bad.
It was.
That's bad.
It was embarrassing for him. I felt bad for him.
He-
I
he
was
was-
pissed off at his crew.
I think his last show was somewhere in Michigan, and the summer heat was just wearing him down. The traveling. And he was never really wanted to be a performer. He wanted to be
No,
in the
he
studio.
wanted to be in
That
the
was his
back,
bag.
in the back developing the music. Hey,
Yeah.
Daddy Boggs, did you see the Steve Mitham's comment? Minnesota strong.
No, what's he saying?
He's acknowledging that
Minnesota strong.
you were right about where he's from. Yeah. Okay, Steve
Then
is
I
an
got a
OG
couple
as
books.
well. Steve is an OG. Oh, good. Yeah, show us all that.
This has 90 songs in it.
Oh, wow.
And I got I got other books, but the Brian Wilson book, Wouldn't It Be Nice?
Right.
And then I won this on a trivia show. This is like a Bible.
Wow.
Oh wow, look at that. That's
Yeah.
like a
Wow.
that's like an LA phone book right there.
I mean, this would take you forever to read.
Well, I just wanted everybody to know we had about, I think, 7 people on at once last week, and I just felt like we were all over the place. And I get criticized sometimes because we lose focus on what we're supposed to be doing. And there's a few people that let me know about it, and they should. Hey, we're going to have a Doors show, and the next thing you know, we're talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. But I don't mind that so much because these shows have a tendency to take on a life of their own. It's hard to stay 100% focused. But what I'm trying to do now is stay a little more focused as long as we can. And then toward the end of the show, other people could hop on. Let's have a free-for-all. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I just want to make sure we do a decent job covering the Beach Boys first,
I got a few 45s put away, and this is one of them. This is the Sleep John B cover, and I put it on the album.
Wow, nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I got that in a frame.
Wow, that's nice, buddy.
Yeah. Then I have
Dennis did die so young.
Then I have the mini cars with the album in the background.
Huh.
And these are numbered. Like this is this supposed to be numbered. There's so many in the set. There's 7 of them.
Oh, cool. Surf and Safari on the side.
The only thing it's lacking is the mini records. Like the Beatles just put out like a mini record player and mini records.
Oh yeah,
But this doesn't have the records.
Right.
It's got the original album covers in the background.
Is that a Ford? Is that a Ford? I couldn't tell if it was a.
You might be right.
Yeah, I used to. I used to own a '56 Chevy Nomad. I'll show a picture of it later. It's got my surfboards on top.
There's 7 in the set. See, there's that Beach Boy album.
Yeah.
And it's a whole set of 7 of them.
Okay.
That sounds.
Wow! Look at that. Awesome, man. Is that all? Is that all part of what you're going to box up and sell me cheap?
It's called Racing Champions.
Nice.
Little Deuce Coupe.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Well, I got me a.
And here's a Woody.
Oh, love the Woodies. My dream. I never had a Woody. I had a '56 Chevy Nomad, but my dream is to have a Woody before I die. I better hurry. Here's my Little Deuce Coupe album, and wasn't this the first album that went platinum, Daddy Boggs?
I really don't recall.
Okay, but it's got a great bunch of songs on it, man.
And then I had the one I called The Mother.
Very nice.
All collected.
Wow. Yeah, this is just straight up surfing Beach Boys right here, Little Deuce Coupe.
I got a few more things, and I'll give somebody else a shot.
No, go for it, buddy.
Oh, go ahead. That's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, you've got the badass collection.
And whether Brian Wilson signed this or not, I can't, because it came by mail. It says Brian Wilson. And then on the back it says, "To Don, thanks for the neat letter, BW."
Awesome.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Then there was newspapers that David Leaf, who I'm friends with on Facebook, he published these years ago. It's called Pet Sounds.
Wow. That's like a total fan paper right there.
Yeah.
There's Dennis Wilson.
Wow.
I have 4 issues of that.
Amazing.
So those are real old.
Wow, those are real old. That's right.
You know what, Royce?
Yeah.
I sit here at home thinking, because I'm going to be 67 on April 28th soon, and I'm thinking to myself, holy Christ, time is flying by. and I'm watching all these artists that I grew up with and everything, just in the doo-wop world and in like the Beach Boys and all those people that made great music
Yeah.
and people enjoyed it and everything. And they're all really now they're getting so old and they're dying off, and it's very, very sad in a way. I know everybody. You're gonna have to meet your maker someday. I mean, yeah,
It's not only musicians, athletes, and celebrities.
well, yeah, and
Movies, yeah, everybody, yeah.
movies too. But for me, mostly it's music or movies. And,
Right.
And I'm
Same
thinking,
here.
holy crap, now there's two certain things. It's death and taxes. Those are the two certain things in life. So so you can't really do very much about it, right? But
No, that's right.
I sit there and reflect and think, holy crap, I've seen all these people that I grew up with. Well,
I
not
know.
with, but basically,
grew up being a fan of, or
and they're just dying off.
no, I know. I think I never used to think about that kind of stuff. Now I do.
Yeah.
And
as you get older, you start thinking of these things.
Finally got a few years back in touch with my mortality. It doesn't last forever. But once again, Sean McCall finally came into the chat and told me I was welcome. I was thanking him for being a supportive member in our membership program. So thanks again, Sean. I want you to know how much I appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
I got a few more things, and I'm gonna give somebody else a shot if they want.
Okay, no, go ahead.
I have Crawdaddy, the scary interview of Brian Wilson.
Wow.
Crawdaddy magazine.
Okay, Crawdaddy. Gotcha.
People magazine.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Well, you have one hell of a great collection.
One hell of a great collection. Yeah.
For sure.
Shit.
That's amazing. Wow.
Jesus.
And the thing is, I probably could have had more. I had extra shirts that didn't fit me anymore, and out they went. Who knew this would happen?
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Super 7. Look at that. Wow.
Super hits of the 70s.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Wow.
Well, I should have you to where everybody can see you better.
Yeah, that's good.
Look at that. Surfing with the Beach Boys.
Stevie
Stevie
Wonder.
Wonder on the front. I've seen Stevie in concert. He opened for the Rolling Stones in '72.
In fact, in my sports celebrity, I got a picture of John Havlicek, who played for the Celtics, but off to the side is a picture of O.J. Simpson that says, O.J. Simpson, Man of the Year.
I was going to mention that we lost him recently.
Yeah.
Look at
I
that.
ain't
Robert
touching that.
Plant. Robert
The old
Plant.
J.
Yeah, I
Simpson
know.
thing.
And then for the Kiss Army on the
Yes,
back.
Kiss Army, absolutely.
Wow, look at that.
And then what I always called the sad one.
Yeah, Dennis. Yeah. Wow, that is sad.
Then I got a few more things, and I'm going to give somebody else a shot.
Okay.
I got some shirts.
Oh, Smile. Yeah, Brian Wilson, Smile.
I seen Brian's 2 solo tours with Pet Sounds and Smile. This is kind of an old one.
Oh yeah. Is that all the album covers? Looks like it. Yeah.
It goes up to Hawthorne. And I got the original.
Wow.
Good vibrations. Awesome.
Yeah. They had the commercial. And this is another real old one. It's called Smackin' USA.
Wow. Look at that. I love it.
And then finally, what I call my surfer girl or catch a wave.
Okay. Oh, look at that.
You plug it in, and she'll go back and forth.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And I put the Hobie sticker on it.
Yeah, I got into everything that was surf, you know. In fact, I got to tell you, let's see. I have a collection, and unfortunately, with my surfboard, one of my surfboards back there and everything else, you're not going to be able to see it. But there's a glass display case behind it, and in that is about 15 or 20 of the original Hawaiian Nodder dolls. You know, the magnet, you'd stick them on your old dashboard in the 50s and 60s, and they'd shake as you drove your car. And these were like originals that I went around and found and bought some on eBay and all kinds of stuff. I kind of got sort of obsessed with them there for a little while. But I wanted to say that, you know, the Beach Boys now, they're still, well, a band called the Beach Boys is still performing now. But one of the things that happened that was really disappointing is the dad, Murry, who had been, you know, they basically, you know, quit using him as the manager. He wasn't as involved in the band or involved at all. He talked Brian into signing a contract that turned everything over to him. And he wound up selling off their entire catalog. He didn't say anything to Brian about it, and none of the other members knew. And Murry sold their entire damn catalog off. I think that was like tragic, you know. But I also want to say, I still got my friend Sean McCall up here thanking me, saying I'm welcome. I will be putting on some members only videos soon, and wanted to wait until we started to have members, but kind of all new to me, you know. I had to reach 1,000 subscribers before I could join the Patreon or the membership program with YouTube. And so I'm just kind of putting it all together now. But we'll be putting some membership only videos. We'll be putting some videos on that will be released to everybody sooner or later, but the members will all get to see them first. And also, especially in the tier that you're in, if you have suggestions on what you'd want to see in shows, please let me know, Sean. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So let me get myself off the big screen. So let's see. So does anybody, Chris, Johnny, you guys have any Beach Boys things you want to talk about?
No, but Daddy Bog just covered the whole friggin' thing.
Right.
I don't know what to ask anymore.
Well, I want to ask Daddy Boggs. Now, wasn't this the first album that was
That's
like
the one. That's the one, Fred Vale. What happened is the MC was running late.
Okay.
And the kids were getting antsy. So they said, Fred, go out there and introduce the group.
Okay.
And I didn't know that until years later. And I'm friends with Fred on Facebook now. And in fact, we were supposed to be on with Dan. Dan was going to set it up. And then Dan's wife was ill. And it just never happened.
But I think this was kind of a breakthrough as far as success for them, this album.
Well,
it was a live album.
Yeah, not too many people had live albums back then.
Right.
That's one of the first ones.
Okay.
It was Fred Vale's idea to do that.
You know, the last few years, live albums I've always liked some, but the last few years they've really grown on me because I just like, you know, some of your artists like to really do a lot of improvising and stuff, and I've learned to really appreciate that. So anyway, I've got a couple more albums, and these two are both they're both compilations. Let me make my screen a little bit bigger here. And they've got, I mean, if you wanted just one Beach Boys album, here you go.
It's got all the hits.
Sounds of Summer. It's got all the hits. It's a 2-album set. And when I say all the hits, I mean, I'm not lying. I mean, we've got California Girls, I Get Around, Surfing Safari, Surfing USA, Fun, Fun, Fun. In fact, Fun, Fun, Fun is the only song that's not on here. Well, no. I take that back. It took me a minute to find it. That's another compilation, but it's a single album. But this is the double album. And you can buy this at Walmart. I've still got the price tag on it. I must have found it on sale. $22.97 for this double album Beach Boys compilation at Walmart. Wow. Okay, so Fun, 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 Surfer Girl, Don't Worry Baby, the single version, Little Deuce Coupe, Shut Down, Help Me Rhonda, the single version, Be true to your school. When I grow up to be a man, in my room, God only knows. Sloop John B. That's just the first album there, side A and B. Then you get to side C. Well, wouldn't it be nice? Get you back. Come go with me. Rock and roll music. Dance, dance, dance. Barbara Ann. Do you want to dance? Heroes and villains. And then the last side, side D. Good times. Kokomo. Some people say they don't like that song. I love Kokomo. I think it's a bitchin' song. Do It Again. Wild Honey. Darlin'. I Can Hear the Music, and Good Vibrations. So if you're looking for Beach Boys, this is Beach Boys right here. Okay. So anyway, let me make
Good
my
Vibrations
screen smaller.
is one of my favorites.
Yeah, right. Well, the Beach Boys went through a lot of changes beyond this stage of the albums we're showing here, and a lot of band members came and went. Brian, I think at some point, well, Brian came and went too. He was totally unreliable. He did have mental issues. He suffered from a lot of different things. I mentioned earlier in the show that his own psychiatrist moved in with him and stayed for, I think, something like 3 years. He just, they finally had to kick him out. And although they did say that he helped Brian, he just kind of moved in and was running Brian's whole life at some point.
It was at Landy's house. It was at Landy's house, not Brian's house.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And he had bodyguards to keep Brian away from the refrigerator. And
oh, didn't he chain it shut? Because all Brian wanted to do was just lay around and eat. Yeah.
But he put him on. He made him lose over 150 pounds. Yeah. So he was good and bad.
Yeah, that story is kind of immortalized in the Bare Naked Ladies song, Brian Wilson.
Right.
Michael asked me, what is the name of my Patreon account? It doesn't really have a name. It's just called, if you look on my show, it'll say join, and then you'll see something that says membership. And either way, you can just go into it and do that. Yeah. So
the thing with Landy is that he was a manipulator, that he wanted to be involved in the music as a producer.
Yeah.
And finally, the Wilson family got Brian out of that situation. And
and who was it that was doing a lot of co-writing with Brian? Later on, maybe on Pet Sounds or some of the other. Well, let's see. Andy Paley. Andy Paley was
but
co-writing.
Tony was more Pet Sounds.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Because Brian had a house in Chicago where his second wife was from, and he had a studio in Illinois. And Andy Paley worked with Brian a lot as well.
Okay. We've basically just scratched the surface on the Beach Boys. I mean,
right.
if you really wanted to go album by album and talk about how they were all put together, some super deep dive. I mean, we would be here. We would be here till 1 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, it was a good review. I enjoyed talking about the Beach Boys. There's a lot of little side stories too. I mean.
I'm more of a 63 to 66 guy, and then after that, I could take about 25 songs that they did to recent, and that would be it. Stuff I didn't like.
What year? Yeah, I hear you. Because they didn't want to just do, or Brian didn't anyway. Didn't want to write just about surf anymore.
That albums I Keep the Summer Alive.
I think he was heavily influenced by the Beatles. Rubber Soul album that came out. He wanted to go in some different directions and stuff like that.
I just checked out their website, and they're still touring. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, they are. They were just here, and they were just here on the Central Coast.
Okay, so who's the lineup though? So you have Al Jardine, and then you have Mike Love.
Al Jardine tours with his son, one of his sons, Matt.
Yeah, no, it's just Mike Love and a bunch of people that weren't originals.
Well, Bruce Johnson is with him. Bruce Johnson has been there a long time.
A long time. That's right.
But he recently fired the music producer and the drummer, and he's got 2 new people in the band now. But Al is touring with his son. Connie and Wendy Wilson, Brian's daughters, are also in the group. and Bobby Figueroa, a backup band member.
So
Al
Al
Jardine.
Jardine, so Al
Al Jardine is
Jardine's,
doing his own thing.
so he's not with Mike Love in any
No, they had a
anymore,
fallout.
right?
They had a fallout. The last time they were all together was at the 50th anniversary.
Okay, I got to ask you guys something. Michael Nolan isn't finding the join button.
I think he found it. It looks like
Did
he found it. Yeah.
Is everyone also seeing? Okay, so Michael did find it. Yeah, yeah. Just on the. Can you guys can probably all see it, right? Well, no, probably not on the show. You can't. But if you're watching on YouTube, there should be a join button, and that's where it'll take you to. The Patreon account.
You see what actually happened years ago? Al Jardine was using the name Beach Boy Family and Friends, and Mike Love has the right to the name Beach Boys. So Al had to change the name or else Mike was going to sue him. That's how bad it got.
Well,
really?
Daddy Boggs. Let's see, what was I going to ask you? When Murry, the father, sold off their collection,
right?
Who owns their music today?
They just recently sold it again.
Oh yeah, this time for millions. Murray sold it for what, $68,000 or something like that.
The original name was Sea of Tunes. That Murray sold it, but then Brian got it back, and now they just recently. What so many people are doing today is selling the rights.
Oh yeah. Big money too.
Oh, big money is right.
Oh my God! I mean, more money than they'd made. Their performing career. I mean, who was it that just sold for? I don't know, $600 or $700 million. I know there's been a bunch of guys do that. I don't know who
just sold theirs.
Oh, Kiss, yeah.
Yeah.
What I was about to say. Yeah, Kiss sold theirs rights. Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, they sold out a long time ago, but guess we don't need to kickstart that conversation all over again.
Well, you know what? I don't know why, but you know what? When Kiss was first was becoming a big thing. If I was 12 or 14 years old, I may have been a Kiss fan my whole life. But I mean, I was listening to some heavy ass music, and Kiss to me was more like, I don't know, kind of relating to the superhero type people and
like theatrical.
And I'm not putting down on it really. But you know what? Yeah, and I think Daddy Boggs remembers this. I had 4 co-hosts: Michael McVeigh, Pat the Wizard, Pat Lucero. Then I had Michael Altini,
Mikey UPS,
and then Mikey UPS. Then Mike the Wizard's best friend, one of his best friends, Jason Herndon. And those were the 4 biggest Kiss fans I ever met in my life. And they were my every week co-hosts. And when we did a Kiss show, man, that could have gone on for 10 hours. The collections they had, one-off things, collectible things. One of them had a Kiss pinball machine. They had they had everything in the world. They'd bought all the Kiss albums produced by, there was several years when you couldn't buy like a Destroyer or a Rock and Roll Over. Nobody was printing them for years, but you could buy them from all over the world. You could buy the Japanese version. You could buy this version, the German version, the Spain version. They have every version ever made from any country, of all these different records. And I never seen anything like it. And they absolutely loved Kiss. And a lot of stuff that I liked, they didn't like. They didn't like the Doors. They didn't like Jimi Hendrix. Kiss was their thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Pat Lucero, for example, has The Wizard's Lair, THEE. And he sells vinyl online. You can go to his show. You can buy Led Zeppelin. You can buy, Eddie Van Halen. He sells everybody, and he has everybody. And him and Michael McVeigh are constantly showing themselves playing a new colored album or something like that. All the great classic rock stuff. They're into everything, but they were particularly into Kiss. I mean, I practically have pictures of them being burped by Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons. I mean, that's how far back they go. They were being taken as children to the shows where you pay to meet them and get autographs, and they have thousands of autographs from Kiss members. Not just the last lineup, but Peter Criss and the other guitar player. let's see, who was that? I can't think. I was not a great fan, but because I was hanging around with these guys, I find it. Yeah, him too. Yeah. But Peter Criss, and there was another one too, though, that was a guitar player that. But they have all that stuff. Oh, Ace Frehley. I'm trying to think of Ace Frehley. 10,000 Volts was his recent offering. But they have all that stuff, and it's all autographed by everybody, time and time again. Cyclos Platters. I have a little goofy story on Brian in regards to I met someone that helped co-write a song on one of his solo albums. Well, in a couple of minutes, we're going to open the show up. Hey, look at this. I don't know how I missed this. Michael Nolan just joined my membership program. Thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate it.
So, Royce, you brought up Kiss, so I thought maybe could I show you two? I've never had Kiss album before, but on this auction that AGK had with Mark and all that, Mark had a couple and I got these two.
Okay, what do you have there? Kill 'Em All?
Killers. It's an East German, I think, pressing. Or
yeah.
Right. On this album, on this label here, and I got this one here as well.
Okay, lower is that Creatures or no? I can't read it.
Okay,
real well. Here, I'll make you bigger real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Oops, I made the wrong guy bigger. Okay, go.
That one.
Oh, Animalizer. Yeah, Animalize.
On, that
I love their label. That's the prettiest label.
Before you make me small, here's the Killer one.
Oh, Killers. Okay, yeah.
With,
I have. They say that's cool. They say Kiss didn't really take off until they came out with their Live 1 and Live 2, and those
you can make me small now.
big sellers. Okay, so I've never found Live 1, but I bought Live 2. I bought. It's kind of a Kiss's greatest hits and red vinyl. I bought that. It was a 2-album set. That was my introduction to owning a Kiss album. Then I found Live 2 and I bought it. And then I was out at Best Buy and they had first pressing in, I don't know, 20 years or more, Rock and Roll Over and Destroyer, which were both two popular albums. So I bought both of those. So I have 4 Kiss albums. And there's stuff on there I like. I've made videos and shorts of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, this one album has a good songs on it.
Royce, it was actually Corey Leviton who got me involved with everybody on the old show. He went to Brian Wilson's house, and the story was on YouTube where the show was. Kidding. It was mentioned, but Corey Leviton met Brian Wilson.
Gotcha.
He did an interview with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was a fallout later on with Corey Leviton, which I don't want to get into. But he's the reason why me and about 50 other people left.
Oh, really?
That was with Zach.
Okay.
If you remember.
Well, I'll tell you guys. I just want to say something to the chat. If you guys could hit the thumbs up button. The like button. A lot of people don't realize the importance of that. You reach a certain milestone on how many likes on the show, and the algorithm starts pumping it out there. And people go for a YouTube search. If it's anywhere near what they're looking for, it doesn't even have to be that close. They'll propose it as one of the shows for them to watch when they start doing YouTube searches. So when you hit that thumbs up button, you get the show a lot more likes. It helps get the show more subscribers. It just helps the show and generally grow. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Michael figured it out. Yes, Michael figures everything out, man. Michael has his act together.
So Royce, you didn't stand in line yesterday for record day, or?
No. Okay. And let me tell you about my record day. I think since we're kind of fading away from the Beach Boys, I'm going to put a link up, and I'm going to invite others to come on. If you want to come on, you want to talk about Beach Boys, you got some Beach Boys stuff, go ahead. But if you want to just talk about anything else, I have a link up now, and I'm going to tell you about my record store day. I went down there, my record store here in town, Traffic Way Records. It's a good store. I've bought a lot of stuff there, but we have bigger ones in San Luis Obispo that are awesome too. But anyway, I went down there at about 1:00 in the afternoon, just to get an idea what they had, what was left. Because I read how many of each album was produced, and some of them were in the tens of thousands. So I didn't think they were all going to sell out. And a couple of friends whose shows I went to that were previewing record show, like The Waxed, Rob The Waxed had a show on it, and some others. And I watched that for a while, and he was saying, well, this one, I'd pay the $32 for this one, because you're buying an album that, maybe you'd find for $10 to $20 an original, or, a later version of it. But when they put these on, they put them on Psycho's Platters. How you doing, brother?
Hi, Paul.
Okay. But when oh my God, we're loading up now. I knew it. Okay. So anyway, what I was saying is, so I went down there, and there, you know what? I have a lot of picture discs, I have Ozzy Osbourne, I have Marilyn Monroe, I have Aerosmith, I have Michael Jackson, and I went down there and I heard that they had a picture disc of Rumors, Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. And they did. It was in beautiful white vinyl. And I was kind of salivating, but I didn't buy it. And all the stuff that I thought I would have bought if I had gotten there earlier was all still available, and lots of copies of it. And I remember Wax saying, well, I'll probably just wait a couple of months. It'll go down in price, Well, so anyway, here was my record store days. I have to tell you this. So Betty and I drove past a couple of yard sales, and I have this fantasy I'm going to find the Led Zeppelin one with the turquoise label. It starts at about $3,000 on eBay, or some such thing, right? So I'm like, pull in. Turn around and go back to that yard sale, and we'll go back there. And it's like, Engelbert Humperdinck and shit, or Yanni, or. So anyway, so we go by this little commercial store, and I didn't even know it was a thrift, used secondhand store. Like, go back. I want to see if they have vinyl. I walk in, I say, do you have any vinyl? They go, yes, it's in the back room down low. Just my luck. Every time I go to look for vinyl, I'm down on my hands and knees because it's on the bottom shelf. and most of the time, it's all junk. Right. And she said, well, somebody just brought a bunch of good stuff in. So I went in there for $1.50 a piece. I got, let me make myself bigger here. For $1.50 a piece, I got the Monkees.
Oh,
more of the Monkees.
Wow.
Okay. And I was actually more excited about a lot of the others. I got, and I mean, this vinyl, I'm not exaggerating. It is like brand new, pristine vinyl on every single one of these albums. Here's Billy Joel. Here's Billy Joel, An Innocent Man.
Good one. I had that one. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, and here's another one. Here's another one. Billy Joel, 52nd Street.
I had that one. Good one.
Another $1.50 for pristine. I actually wound up with, of all things, 3 Billy Joel. This is a double album set. And this is Billy Joel's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2. Wow. And I mean, this has got like everything on it. Piano Man, Say Goodbye to Hollywood, New York State of Mind.
I got a quick story on Billy Joel.
Just the way you are. Okay, but it's got a lot of amazing stuff. Boggs, did you say you had a story?
I'm Billy Joel.
Okay. Go ahead.
We used to go out, when I lived in New York, we used to go out to Island Park. It was called the Action House. We used to see Leslie West when he first started out with a group called the Vagrants.
Okay.
Billy Joel could hardly get a show there. He started out with a group called the Hassles.
The Hassles, okay.
Right.
Well, I remember, Daddy Boggs, you used to be in a band, and you guys opened for the Doors. You were called the Hinges.
Yeah, the Hedges.
Yeah, the Hinges.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, the door hinges open for the Doors.
Oh, God.
Okay.
There was one more.
Oh, man. Wait, everybody. I have an announcement to make.
There was one more group. They were called the Vanilla Fudge, but before that, they were called the Pigeons.
Yeah.
You could check it all out on Google.
Well, I gotta do a shout out to my new member, Steve Midtham. Thank you, Steve. I can't tell you how much this means to me. We're building the show. This is going to help build a show. It's going to help me make better shows, and with better equipment, things like that. And and I'm going to be putting some members only videos on. I'll be putting some members only videos that eventually will become other videos for anybody to watch, but there'll be some that are just exclusive for the members. And anytime you want to suggest a show, let's talk about it. There's a lot of little perks, and there's a lot of things you get for membership, including helping pick shows and exclusive videos and all kinds of things. And I really
Royce?
appreciate it. Yes.
I'm waiting for a great album. I'll tell you which one it is, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. Dark Side of the Moon 50th anniversary with the UV.
I think I've seen that for sale. I thought I saw it on Tower Records. Maybe it was Tower Records. I think I just saw it.
Absolutely beautiful records. The design on it, the UV design on the beautiful.
Michael Nolan's really knows his Pink Floyd. I want to ask Michael Nolan, have you heard that? It's the 50th anniversary, you said, right?
Yeah, 50th.
Yeah,
anniversary.
I have definitely seen it.
UV.
I have definitely seen it.
Beautiful. The way they made it. I think, in my opinion,
I know. It really popped up at me too. I was thinking, wow, I mean, I know that Roger Waters has made his own version and things like that. But so anyway, we're gonna right freaking on, Steve. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Steve.
Love it.
Sir James Bowie Sinatra immediately left the Discord voice channel, so we know that's tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve, it took you a while. Took you a while to get it done. Okay. I can understand that. Yeah, James Watson, Engelbert Humperdinck show next week, Royce. Yes. I think he's playing with Yanni. And
oh my,
that's a joke. These are the only albums I've ever seen.
Royce, being a Beatles fan as I am,
yes.
There's one thing I didn't get, and I was almost gonna get it, but it's $275. It was $275.
All right, see you later, Kate.
Yanni, because he makes you
Yeah,
yawn. I love that, Michael Chavez.
Oh, I thought you were going, Kate.
It was.
I remember.
Okay.
I went to a Kenny G concert, and I kind of felt the same way there. To be honest with you, I went to a Kenny G concert. The first song, I was like, right on. Second song, yeah, this is good. And by about the fifth song, every damn one of them started to sound the same. And I got up and walked out before the show was over.
Nah.
Dr. Rick, did Charles Manson get credit for his song? Not that I'm aware of. Daddy Boggs, what do you say to that?
That's that one we keep talking about. Cease to resist. Turned out that we never learned not to love.
Did he ever get credit for that?
I really don't know, but the Beach Boys put it on one of their albums, 2020.
Yeah. I read about that. Yeah.
Royce,
I heard on one of the shows I watched, I heard him, Charlie Manson I'm talking about, I heard him playing and stuff. And it's kind of interesting, and creepy at the same time to hear him playing and singing.
I'm getting old, and I got to finish my thought because I'll forget what I was going to.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. Now, being a Beatles fan, like I said, there's one thing I almost got, but I looked at it and I thought, nah, I'm not going to get it. It's a waste of money, in my opinion. Now, it was $270 they wanted here in Ontario for that thing, and that's the turntable and the 3-inch discs, all that, the kit there that for the Beatles.
The 3-inch disc. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
That kit that they were selling with the turntable.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw a few people on YouTube unboxing it. Right. And I thought to myself, holy crap. I'm glad I didn't spend $270 for that. Right. But some of them, I mean, I'm glad that they got a chance because they were pretty limited. So I'm glad they got a chance to get it, but I wouldn't have got it.
Was there another Beatles album too? Because I did see the Beatles album as well when I went in there late in the day.
It was on Rachel's show today. Harry showed it today on Rachel's show.
Okay.
Harry has one, yeah.
Right. I think everything I liked was. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
They were. The thing is, on eBay, I was looking on eBay, and some of them were flipping it for like one person wanted. He wanted $700 for it. You'll never get it.
Okay. You're
but
right.
some of them were asking for like $400 for it, like $500. Absolutely ridiculous price, right?
That's ridiculous.
A lot of them are buying it flip it, right? So, but
Ugh.
I would have. I'm glad I didn't. I settled what I said to my wife. I said, I'd sooner buy that Pink Floyd album with the UV vinyl, that 50th
Okay.
anniversary. I'd sooner
Yeah.
spend $70 on that than I would spend $270 on that little dust collector. I would think, but anyway, my thoughts finished now. I'm glad because I would have never remembered what I was
Okay. So anyway, we're getting here. Does anybody that's recently joined us have anything they'd like to say about the Beach Boys?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pull you up, Paul, and you're going to tell us the story.
All right.
Go ahead.
How's it going?
buddy.
How's it going, guys? Firstly,
It's going well. Thanks
Good,
for
good,
joining
good.
us.
thank you. So listen, after I get done telling the story, I've got a couple Beach Boys items I want to show and one
okay.
RSD thing to talk about too. I'll try to be brief. So the story though goes to, for the Beach Boys thing has to do with Brian Wilson and has to do with the mid 90s. Okay. So I'm trying to remember, was it Imagination? My Imagination? What was the name of that solo
You're
album?
correct. You're correct.
Okay.
You're correct.
Okay. So here's the thing. So I remember maybe, I think he just started recording the album. Now he had a house. He moved to St. Charles, Illinois, which which is only maybe about not even an hour's drive.
Okay.
And I'm going, wait a minute. Why did he move from Cali to St. Charles, Illinois? Nice town, but still, I'm like, it's not really in the middle of anything. So now, okay, you guys, at least the older people here, you remember, of course, Disco Demolition Night, right, in Chicago. Steve Dahl, Steve and Gary, they blow up all the disco records at Comiskey Park. Steve Dahl was a very famous disc jockey for about 40 years in the Chicagoland area. Somehow, Steve Dahl befriended Brian Wilson during this time frame, and I ended up getting to meet Steve because he came to my college as one of our guest speakers. And a lot of these kids, and they were younger than me, really didn't quite know who he was, and I didn't want to bring up a Steve and Gary question. So I said, Mr. Dahl, sir, how did you end up befriending Brian Wilson, and is it true that you co-wrote a song with him? And he smiles and then goes off and says, how do you know about that? And I said, Illinois Entertainer magazine, sir. They did an article and you just happened to be in like one of the paragraphs. And he's like, oh, geez, I didn't know that. So he just simply said originally his friendship was through a mutual friend. What was that guy's name that you guys brought up? Jeff something? Paley?
Andy Paley.
Andy Paley.
Yeah,
Somehow he knew
Andy.
Andy Paley. That was the name he threw out. And so one day he just happened to be at Brian's house. Actually, he said he was there maybe a handful of times during the recording. And he went off, and for some reason, Brian was just in a very cool mood. And he goes, I heard you're a musician, which was kind of true. He could play the guitar and sing. Steve could, badly on the singing part, but all right in the guitar part. So they start kind of jamming and fleshing out stuff. And you're going to have to forgive me. I don't know what song it is, but Steve Dahl is his name. And he co-wrote a song that's on that album. So that is my Brian Wilson story. As far as for, I met Bruce Johnston. That is the only Beach Boy I got to meet. Although I almost met Mike Love, but boy, he was a crab ass, and he just did not want to deal with anybody. That was in 2000 almost for Mike Love. But as far as for Bruce Johnston's concerned, him and John Cowstill, who was a drummer for 20-something years with the Beach Boys from the Cowsills, they showed up at a gig that I was at watching the Cowsills, the three of them, the ones that still keep touring. And John and Bruce Johnston show up. They end up going up there after the intermission, did a jam series. They did a surf medley. And I got a signed poster. I know you can't see it, but it's over here, of the Cowsills and Bruce Johnston, who simply wrote The Beach Boy. Now that's what I've got for that story. So I only got a handful of collectibles because I'm not going to show everything here. But I thought maybe some people would get kind of cool about this.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, this picture sleeve, along with, if I remember correctly, the 10 Little Indians / County Fair 45 sleeve is some of the toughest picture sleeves to get, other than the original Heroes and Villains picture sleeve, which is actually one of my favorite goofy songs of the Beach Boys. So, speaking of Brian, a few years ago, when he put out the album No Peer Pressure, which I've got double vinyl, Barnes & Noble's had an exclusive, autographed copy. I have not opened this sucker.
Wow.
I'm not opening it. Okay.
No.
I've got his autograph, Bruce's autograph. I've got Mike Love's autograph from that book he wrote. Yeah. So then these next couple here, 99 cents at a Salvation Army a couple of years back. Now, I didn't bring all of them, but I thought maybe you'd like to see that I've got a copy of this. And the vinyl is they're all near minty. Okay. They really are. This one here ended up being one of my latter favorites.
Oh,
I so wish that this was a mono copy. I have come across since then a couple mono copies, but they were all stomped to holy hell, and I couldn't do anything with them. Yeah. And so, of course, you're looking at that. Now, there is one RS. I mentioned on my live stream yesterday that I had that there was 3 things that I was looking for. The top thing was the Monkeys, Birds, Bees, Monkeys in mono. All right, which I'm like, there's 2 locations to this store. They each got 1 copy, and that was the end of it. And the line was ridiculous. That was like one of the first things. But the lady behind the counter went up. She goes, I can't imagine that there was that many Monkeys fans around here. And I go, ma'am, I said, you would be completely surprised.
Everybody loved the Monkeys. Yeah.
And so, and then the second thing that was the second choice was the Eric Carr, the Unfinished Business. And then that was gone too, but there was this. And so I'm happy to have this. I don't know if you know about Tinted Windows.
No.
But Tinted Windows, this came out in 2009, and it was a one-off super group. Adam Schlesinger from Mount Fountains of Wayne, James Iha from Smashing Pumpkins, Taylor Hanson, you heard me right, one of the Hanson brothers, and Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick. All on here. Now,
that's a nice lineup.
I haven't heard anything on this yet. Now, it was put out in CD. This is the first time on vinyl with 2 extra tracks that didn't land on the original CD. Now, it is colored vinyl, and I'll just show you this much, and then I'll shut up because I really don't have anything else to talk about. But it looks like this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, that's cool looking.
Yeah, thank you. And you can make me small. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time you gave me.
Well, I'm just going to take 1 minute and finish. I started to show my record store day stuff. Which came
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. You didn't interrupt. We were already off onto something else. In addition to the 3 Billy Joels, including the greatest hits. Let's see. No. Don't worry about it, Paul. In addition to 3 Billy Joels, including the double album greatest hits, $1.50 a piece. And I swear to you, the vinyl looks like brand new. I also got Jim Crochet's greatest hits, photographs and memories. And this has all the epic stuff, Bad, Leroy Brown, Operator, New York.
Time in the Bottle.
Time in a Bottle. Yeah. This is really a great album right here. Another $1.50. And then
$1.50. Holy.
I paid about $15 for like 7 albums. But wait till you see the finale. Elton John.
Ooh,
I
nice
got an Elton
one.
John here, you know.
Nice.
And then I showed you the monkeys already. But then, and I was really wanting this too. Another $1.50. Vinyl looks like perfect. I listened to this last night, and I really, really, this is some great jazz right here. I'm starting to really get into jazz. I don't have much of it, but also, okay. So when I first said, "Well, how much are the vinyl? How much are the albums?" and they yelled back at me, $1 to $2. So I went up there with this stack of them. I couldn't be happier, you know.
I guess.
I spent half of what one record store day album would have cost me.
Right.
I went up there and I said, okay, so how about this many for $1? She goes, well, wait a minute. She called the girl outside that was out there where the yard sale was going on in front of this commercial building. And she goes, no, they're $2. They're not $1. They're $2. And I go, well, but I'm buying so many. You know, she goes, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the 245s you have for free. Now look what I got. And I'm not normally a 45 collector, but I wound up with the Beatles Yesterday.
Oh,
Nice.
The Beatles Yesterday for free.
Holy.
With Act Naturally on the back.
Wow.
And then the other 45. And I listened to both these last night. I just got them yesterday. I bought these this was my record store day. And then the other one is, of all people, we have the Monkees. I'm not your stepping stone.
That's a nice song too. That's a good song.
Not your stepping stone. And on the other side is I'm a Believer.
I love that song.
Shit.
Yeah. So I mean, I really scored,
you made a
but
killing. Holy
I did go to Traffic Ray Records. I did wish I would have bought that Rumors and white vinyl picture disc. I saw Howlin' Wolf. I would like to have. I saw the Beatles stuff. It didn't look like they sold out. I mean, this stuff came in big quantities this year. I liked. I saw the Beatles stuff. I saw a Rolling Stones album. I saw. Let's see. There was another one that I really liked. What was that one? Anyway, I can't think of it right now. There was so much to look at, so much to study for tonight. But would anybody else like to have a parting shot here? And let me answer this one question from P401. Do you recall a while back I sent you a video from YouTube about the Beach Boys and their involvement with Charles Manson? And you know what? I'm sorry, but I don't remember that, unless I'm getting a little bit confused, because I have listened to 3 or 4 Beach Boy. One was a documentary. Others were just like movies. And some of them were like almost 2.5 hours long this past week. And so I did see one that included all of that, but it wasn't just exclusive to just the Charles Manson thing. That was just a part of the overall show. So no, did you send it? Like, was it an email or what was it? Because I just, like I said, I don't know that I ever got that.
You got me going on the 45s here.
Yeah, I just pulled 2 up too.
Oh, look at this. What James Watson said. Okay, look at that. Wow, that's nice. You know, I think I only have 2 other 45s.
Hey Jude.
Hey Jude, sweet. 2 other 45s, and one of them came with a. No, it didn't come with anything. I ordered a special. It was a 7-inch 45, and it was Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix in purple vinyl.
Nice.
Here. Wow, look at that.
Wow, which one is that?
Beach Boys medley.
Oh, okay. Nice. That'd be cool. Johnny's got some. Oh, do it again, the Beach Boys. Yeah. Nice.
And Sloop John B.
Sloop John B. Outstanding.
Nice. But that's the one that's in the cover in the frame that I showed you earlier.
Okay.
And I Can Hear Music.
I Can Hear Music. Yeah. Oh, great songs, all of them. Okay.
When you talk about, I was going to say, when you talk about covers, go on YouTube. There's a group called the Fendertones.
Okay.
They were college kids out of Pennsylvania. They do Beach Boy covers with thousands and thousands of views. That's how good they are.
Wow.
That Mike Love and Bruce Johnson went to their house and recorded with them, and Brian
kidding
Wilson,
me.
some of his band members, they all sang together.
Nice.
These are the Fender tones.
Fender tones.
Okay.
Excellent music. They are so talented that you will save them.
Oh wow.
And they were
Yeah,
college
no.
kids at the time.
I'm totally looking forward to that.
Right
So
on.
I just picked up a couple 45s.
Well,
One
let's see
I
'em.
think Daddy Boggs might know. I'll show you the first one first. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Ah,
Sugarloaf.
love
Mint
that song.
condition. Yeah, so do I. Mint condition, right?
Wow.
The second one, I think maybe Daddy Boggs might know. I'm not sure. This one's very hard to get. The ones that I heard are very scratchy, but this one's
Okay.
mint condition. Hillard Street.
Oh, Dillard Street. Okay.
No.
No, Hillard. Hillard.
Oh, Hillard.
Yeah, that's the name of the guy, Hillard Street, and it's
Yeah.
the song is it will never happen again, and this is a very rare one.
Well, you know,
There's-
depending
like I said,
depending on the distance you're holding it, it's blurry if it's not at the right distance. That's too far away. That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's good right
it's a
there.
promotional record, and yeah. So this one, like I said, it's a very good song, really good. It's the older style,
Right,
back in the day, but
right, right.
it is a good one. So that's the two I just picked up, and they're mint condition, both of them.
Okay.
Don't call us, we'll call you. I want it for sure. Because I like a Green Eyed Lady too, but I didn't get that one yet. But the album, the only two on the album of Sugarloaf are those two songs that I would like anyway. So I didn't really want to buy the whole album for just two songs. So I figured the 45s, I'd buy a 45 instead.
Hey, Michael, where'd you hear that rumor?
That's it. Thank you.
Since
I like when Michael hears rumors. He's so,
Since
there's
Paul
always
came in
there's
late,
always an element of truth there.
since Paul
Thank
came in
you.
late,
Thank
Paul, I
you,
want to
Mike.
show you my surfer girl.
Okay, we're coming back. We're coming back. Here we are.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
nice. Wow.
Oh, cute.
Look at that, eh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Love it.
Yeah.
You don't know how much work it was for me to get my surfboard into my office
Yeah, I
today.
can imagine. I was
I
wondering
had to
about
clean
that.
all the wax off at first. And this was a surfboard that I need to get my butt back out there and start surfing. It was like Stewart calls this the greatest board he ever made. They only come in one length, 9 feet. So there's not 9, 9, 6, 9, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 9 feet, but they adjust the width instead of the length. And it's such a great board to catch waves on. It's just absolutely amazing. I don't know how well everybody
I
can
didn't
see
even
it.
know you surfed.
I was just trying to have a few props in here, you know. I put up
Yeah.
my the endless summer thing here, put my Stewart surfboard here, put my my surf guitar here, Fender Jaguar. Yeah, I was playing that last night, trying to do some Dick Dale Miserlou and shit like that, double picking and pipeline and with reverb on full, of course. It is surf music.
You
Anyway,
still have one,
so
you still have one of the earlier pioneers. Their shirts are available. Dewey Weber.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their shirts are available.
Yeah, I know you were really into the original brands from the 60s and stuff, and that's cool stuff. And a friend of mine, I'll show a picture here, okay? This is a friend of mine. These are the okay, let me make this bigger. These are the what they call the Beach Boys on Waikiki Beach. And this is my friend right here, Rick. Rick makes Heritage longboards, and if you look at the board they're leaning on, it says Heritage. And if you look at the 2/2, well, they're on my left. I don't know where they are with you guys. Those both say Heritage. Holding on to the one of them on the inside is Cowboy Rosa. Over here is Cowboy Rosa's wife. She's a surf instructor out there. And then there's Pops. I met all these guys. I mean, my buddy Rick, who just lives down the street, makes surfboards. He doesn't make them now. He's got COPD. So he's not making surfboards. There's a lot of fiberglass powder and resin and stuff like that that's really toxic. So anyway, I used to buy all my surfboards from him. He would make them any way I wanted. And he was going over there a couple of times a year, and he was bringing all kinds of surfboards for his friends on Waikiki Beach. And he told them I was coming. And when I got there, they were treating me like I was special. You know, he goes, well, here's what we do, Royce. Here's the tree over here where you leave your wallet and stuff. Nobody's going to touch it. We all do it. When a lot of us are sitting here all day long in between surfing. So anything in this tree is safe. Don't worry about it. So that's where you leave your stuff. Over here's where you do this. Over here's where you do that. And they were just like, oh, hey, that's Rick's buddy. I heard he was coming, you know. So it was kind of fun because these were all like, you know, I mean, Waikiki Beach Boys. I mean, they have surfboard stands on the beach and things like that. And actually, I didn't point this out, but here is Rabbit Peak High. So that's my buddy Rick. And next to him is Rabbit Peak High. And Rabbit Peak High is a famous beach boy that surfed with the Duke, Kahanamoku. You can see the picture of the Duke in the background in the middle out on the beach. I have a picture with him I'm going to show next. But so Rabbit hosted the Rabbit Peak High Costa Rican surfboard championship every year. Rabbit passed away a few years ago, but he surfed into his 80s, you know. So anyway, what I want to do now, I actually threw a couple of pictures in here I wanted to show. And because I'm proud of my fact that I am a surfer, but I haven't been out in a little while, I got to admit. But so I threw some pictures. Okay. The first one is me surfing at Cuatro Casas in Mexico. This is about 2.5 to 3 hours below Ensenada. You drive down in your car, you camp out on the beach, and, you know, and they also have a hostel there you could stay in. But anyway, so we were there for 2 very windy days, me and my friend Sean. Finally, he shook my tent in the morning. He goes, Royce, look outside. And I looked outside. It was just like pristine waves, right? So we went out there and we surfed ourselves like 4 hours of solid surfing. And this is what the waves were like. After we finished surfing there, we drove down the dirt road for about 20 minutes to another surf place called Shipwrecks, appropriately named. But you can see the wave through here, and there were people out there. People were out there surfing. Anyway, so that's Shipwrecks. This is down in Mexico. That's me enjoying a beer after surfing for 4 hours at Cuatro Casas. Then here we have me at my boat in only place, Point Conception. To my right is the long Point Conception. It's about like a half a mile surf ride. This is a place called Percos. You can't see it real good. The surf's over here. And we used to launch my raft off the beach at Gaviota and go out here and surf. And this is hollowed ground. You only get there by boat. You can't get there. You can't drive in unless you're a ranch owner. And they will chase you out if they see you walking in. I went out there on a 37-foot sailboat, and the guys were going to go onto the Channel Islands, and I had something I had to get home and do. So I was going to walk out to Halama, which is also an amazing surf place. They have a campground and everything. It's called Halama in Lompoc. And so I'm walking down the tracks, and some rancher comes flying up there in his quad, and he goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I go, "Oh, man, I came in here in a sailboat. The guys were going to, go out to the islands. I'm sick to my stomach. My wife's picking me up in Halama. I'm just trying to get to my wife and get out of here." He goes, "Oh, okay. We'll just stay on the railroad tracks." Okay, now here's me with Duke Kahanamoku on Waikiki Beach. And
Wow.
They're surfing with my Heritage longboard, the board that my friend Rick keeps there. Alongside of the police station, there's these little chains, and people from all over the world keep their own surfboards there with a little chain and a padlock. And Rick gave me the combination to his board. Boy, did I have fun. Next, I'm going to show you my surf wagon, my 56 Chevy Nomad.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
That's
that.
amazing.
700 watt power stereo that doubled as a defibrillator.
Crap.
When you turn that bass knob, it had a bass knob. When you turn that bass knob up, plate glass windows were doing this,
Oh,
And
that's
here's me
nice.
at Cabo San Jose, just up from Cabo San Lucas, where we were staying in Baja, surfing a surf break called Old Man's because they were kind of easy waves. And then here is my surfboard that's behind me that I went down to the Bill Stewart surfboard shop in San Clemente, California, and bought. So anyway, enough of all that. Let's get back to whatever y'all want to talk about.
If you want to listen to a good surf medley by Junior Brown, excellent. Oops.
Well, someone dropped.
There goes Royce. As soon as I heard surf medley, he just went.
I think he went down to Huntington Beach, Surf City.
Yeah, he's catching a wave.
All right, Paul,
Yeah.
you got to MC the show.
We lost
So-
our host.
There we
guys
go.
back.
How about now? Can anybody hear me now?
Oh yeah.
There we
Yeah,
go.
here.
Oh, thank you. Not that
Wipe
anybody
out.
wants to hear me now, but
You
So
wipe
Johnny L, I've got something amazing to show you about my mom got me for my birthday.
Yeah.
let's
Royce knows
see
what
it.
this is. All
Let's
right, make
see
me
it.
big, please.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I got this
Wow.
stereo on Parlophone. Great
Nice.
album. If
Yeah.
you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see my review I did on Friday.
Wow. Yeah.
And I
That's
love.
one I don't have.
And here's my hype sticker on the side here.
I
And
know.
wait till you see the label. Oh my God, you're gonna flip.
I don't know what's going on here. I can't get back. Okay, here it is. Never mind. Okay, yeah,
Oh.
that's that bitchin' Parlophone label you were talking about.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Long playing Parlophone. This is a limited label because after this they didn't have this gold label anymore. This is only after 63 that they started in 64 to do the yellow Parlophone label that we're so used to seeing for Beatles albums. But this is I've never seen anything like this before.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
love
happy to
that.
have this.
Yeah, that's really cool. I have 3 or 4 Parlophones. All Beatles. But I don't recall seeing a label like that.
That's a nice one.
Oh yeah.
James Watson, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Melinda was from that area as well.
Ah,
His second wife.
Very nice album. Like
Thank
that.
you. Oh, while I'm up here, leave me up for a sec. I have something else to show him.
Fox Ochaka, thanks for sharing that.
And
Music
Danielle, do
Sanctuary.
you have this?
No, I don't. That's a nice
This
one.
is a rare Canadian press of they call it Twist and Shout, but it's a Canadian version of Please Please Me. But there's some songs that are omitted from this one that are not on the actual album. So you've got Anna, Go to Him, Chains, Boys, Ask Me Why, Please Please Me, Love Me Do, From Me to You, which is not on that album. You got P.S. I Love You, Baby It's You, Do You Want to Know a Secret, A Taste of Honey, There's a Place, Twist and Shout, and She Loves You. So there's some songs
nice.
that are on this one that are not on that one. And I found this out. I found you can get this thing on eBay for almost $300.
Holy
jeez.
And I got this in a thrift store in St. John, New Brunswick a couple of years back for $19. They didn't know what they had on them.
God.
And I got it.
Wow.
And it's on
$19.
Capitol.
Holy shit.
Now,
19 bucks.
you're starting to sound like my nephew who bought the non-butcher cover album. It never
All right,
had
you made me
it
small.
never had the butcher cover on it, and he bought that. The guy wanted $1,600. He went and met him.
Wow.
He wound up walking away
Holy
with it for $300. $300. And I said to him, I said, "Listen, listen, Little Rich. His name is Richard Royce, after his dad and me, Richard Royce." I go, "Listen, Little Rich. I tell you what I'll do. I'll give you the $300 back." And I'll give you my 25 Beatles albums in my will and your album back.
No, Michael, it's on Capitol.
It's just like I'm borrowing it for a while. And you're getting 25 Beatles albums when I give it back to you. Anyway, he didn't want to hear about it. He didn't even respond to that.
God, I
Ruby
almost
Lee-
had seen those 2 albums that he just showed. I almost had a stroke.
Uh-oh. Don't
Oh, I
have a
know.
stroke on us, Johnny.
Did I make you big by accident?
Yeah,
I
you
think you
made me
did.
big just to watch me have a stroke.
Okay.
But I'm actually glad you did, Royce, because I want to see his reaction after what he just saw, what I showed.
I know, that's pretty amazing stuff.
That is.
You know, Groovy Lisa has the OG of Dark Side of the Moon, and you know what? I have the OG too. I drove up to Traffic Way Records, where I went to record store day the other day and didn't buy anything, and it was during COVID, and I wanted to get in, and I thought the guy was being kind of a prick. You know, it's like, no, I'm not going to let you in, man. I'm closing. I'm like, what the hell, man? I want to come in and look at some records. He goes, well, it's COVID. I only let one person at a time anyway, and everybody's got to have masks. He goes, here, you want an album? Here's an OG. It's right in his window, right? Here's an original pressing of Dark Side. I go, oh, how much you want for that? I think he said $30. And so I bought it and left. You know?
Is the original Red and Blue album on the Beatles worth anything? The original albums?
Wait, say that again, Daddy Boggs?
Are the original Red and Blue albums of the Beatles, are they worth anything?
I have both of them, you know, the double albums. And then I found the red and red vinyl and bought it. And then I found, and this is before they came out with the new ones, you know. Then I found
This is the originals that came out in the 60s.
Yeah, I would think anything. I would think anything would be have to be worth any kind of a Beatles album that's probably original would have to be worth some money.
And I have Sgt. Pepper, the original.
Okay, I think I have an original too. That Sgt. Pepper. I fell in love with Sgt. Pepper. I had an older brother that was 9 years older than me, and he was a craps dealer in Las Vegas, and later on a movie actor in Southern California. But he was such a smart guy. He was always in the best places for tips on craps. In fact, they were so good that one day the other dealers, he just got hired at the new place where the tips were phenomenal. He'd buy, you know, every time he came back from California from trying to pursue his acting career, he'd go get a dealer's job. After a couple of different places he switched from, he'd always wind up in the best because he was such a hustler. So the guys took him in the back room and said, hey, Robin, you know, you're just not asking for tips. You're not pulling your weight here. And he goes, well, how do you ask for tips? He goes, well, you got a guy out there with a stack of black chips. Those are $100 chips, and he wins. He's dragging his big stack of black chips back to himself, and you just say something kind of comical, and the gentleman throws a tip to the dealer, and the guy looks up, and everybody's looking at him, and he grabs a handful of black chips and throws them to the dealer. He's got like hundreds of them, you know, and so everybody's like hustling, you know, and he made so much money. I mean, he'd buy a new house, he'd put a 6-foot block of wall around the whole thing, do all kinds of work to it, fix it all up, and next thing you knew, he was on his way back to California to pursue his acting career. And he'd go through the whole cycle another 2 or 3 times. Anyway, so anyway, what? Yeah,
I was going to say, there's only so much you can keep up with. You subscribe to so many people that you even can't watch all their shows because some of them overlap. Rachel's on 7 days a week. It's just hard to catch everything.
No, it's impossible to catch everything. I'm always trying to choose between shows and stuff like that. But I'm still working full time too, you know, so I don't have I'm not sitting around on my computer all day. Well, I'm kind of unemployed right now, but for this week, but I mean, for the most part, I'm working on bids for the next job I want to get. Right now, I'm working on 2 big bids for the housing authority. And so I have a lot to do. Plus my house needs a lot of work and I want to get it done so we can sell it and downsize. So I'm just like overloaded, and it's not always easy to find time to go on someone's show. It's really hard, you know.
And collecting, you know, I've collected for so many years. I had to put the brakes on, you know. I got enough, you know.
I know. I got into it kind of later. I had some old original stuff, you know, that my parents owned, and some old original stuff that I own. I think including that Sgt. Pepper's that was my brother's. We used to. He lived in Las Vegas, and I was only 15 years old, and me and my friends would hitchhike out to his house, and we'd listen to. I mean, he loved Sgt. Pepper's, and then later he got Magical Mystery Tour too. But he had, you know, like for my 16th birthday, he bought me Blind Faith, which is a fantastic album, you know. Excellent. And you know, and we'd go out there and hang out with my older brother, who was 9 years older than me, and it was a great time, you know. And
you gotta make me small. You got me on the screen here. Make me small.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Make you small. Make you small. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so you guys go ahead and
Hey, Rex, can I show you something? You guys are all showing different things. I don't have any vinyl to show off, but
okay,
I do
no. Show us
I do
whatever you have.
something pretty cool here. It's a limited edition. This is number 11 of 100. It's a guitar set or guitar pick set.
Oh, a pick set.
Oh, that's
yeah.
nice. Yeah, that
It's-
is
Right,
nice.
right.
It's autographed by the 3 surviving members.
Oh my God, that's nice.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like it
I
says right
love
there.
I love that, man. I am so
Right
jealous.
That is nice.
I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
Number
jealous.
11 of 100.
Oh,
11 of 100. How did you get that?
My brother got it for me for my birthday, and I think he got it. He was lucky. He didn't pay much for it. I think the person giving it to him didn't know what they had.
No, they didn't know what they had.
Yeah, really.
you
that
know
is
what-
nice.
That is very. All I have is these picks, and they were from that show Daddy Boggs that I talked about earlier, Talking Wax, and there's our picture on all of them. Not everybody's picture, but they were calling me Dirty Royce. I have a poster behind me, Dirty Royce.
Each
So
one of
the-
these picks has a different album cover
Yeah.
on it, pretty much like yours do.
Oh no, I saw that. So here's a picture of me as Dirty Royce, Dirty Harry takeaway. Ed, Ed Stasium next to me, the producer who produced the Ramones and a bunch of people.
Mm.
Oh, here was our artist that created all this fun stuff for the show, the ward and everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
George.
that was our artist. This is Michael McVeigh, who was a co-host for about a year for me. Huge Kiss fan. He's got a really great band. I need to play his video. I told him I would. They're opening for somebody here in Texas and Galveston, Texas, at some big place, and he's doing good. You know, he had a great band. They were opening for all kinds of big acts, and then COVID hit, and it all got shut down, and so that was a real bummer for him. Dr. Rick, I have Dark Side of the Moon and Quadraphonic. No kidding. Wow.
Mm.
Does that play on just any vinyl player, or do you have to have a special quadraphonic vinyl player? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Yeah. Just wondering about that.
What do you think, Daddy Boggs? Does that play on just a regular quadraphonic on a regular vinyl player?
You may have to put it on an operating table.
Well, wasn't the Who's Tommy? Wasn't that quadraphonic, or I don't know, maybe not. I can't catch every stream. I watch the streams I enjoy the most. Thank you, Lisa.
It's tough.
I'll take it as a compliment. Yeah, I know, and I can't either. Like I said, I'm a really early riser, anywhere between 3 and 5 o'clock, and 5 o'clock's like sleeping in for me.
Well, that's
And I'll get up and I'll grab
Early
my
for
phone,
me.
and here's Joe Mayo on. Like, of course, he lives in a different area where he's ahead of me, but here he's. I'm like, oh shit! So I'll be laying in bed watching Mean Mr. Mayo or nothing. You know, it's just a timing thing, you know.
Well, tonight Grant's Warehouse was on and Concert Buddy was on at the same time. It's just impossible.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Perry Como had that song, right?
I mean,
I suppose
Mike-
you can watch the videos.
Yeah, you can watch later on.
Yeah. So.
Okay, Psychos. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your stories and
Yes.
stuff.
Night, Paul.
Later,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, we're getting ready. I want to get to the bottom of the chat, get everybody's comments up, and then we're going to sign off, folks. Michael Nolan, Blood-Sucking Freak. That's a cool name. You got Michael Nolan, the bottom line, sweet. The Music Sanctuary, show us your Toronto Maple Leaf crying towel. That's funny. Oh, Lord, I do remember.
I got my frisbee above me, but not my crying towel. As I said, yeah, I've been a Toronto Maple Leaf fan and a Detroit Lions fan for so long. There's no tear ducts left.
Right. Eh?
Yeah, that happens to me every year with the Niners, you know. Every year they think they're going to I used to love going to the Niners games. My friend's dad had 5 season tickets, and whenever he wasn't going, we went. He'd give us the tickets. We'd go up there, tailgate party, have all this fun. This was when Joe Montana and Young were both playing quarterback. I saw the very first game Deion Sanders played for him. He just joined the Niners. He was back there to catch the opening kickoff, the very first kickoff of the game. He caught it deep in the end zone, and I never seen anybody run so fast in my life. It was like streak, 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 and he was in the end zone on the other end. I was just blown completely away.
Here's an item here.
Ooh.
It's a
I like
starter
that.
jacket. These sell for almost $150, $200 on eBay. I'm trying to sell it for $100. It's
Wow.
in excellent condition.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. Starter.
Looks good. Yeah. Yeah.
With a starter. It's a Target item.
Right. Hey, who won the Lakers game last night?
Denver, I think.
Did they? Shit. That's another one. I saw a lot of Niners games with Montana, Young, and all these great Jerry Rice. And when they were on top, I got to see games when they were on top. I got to see playoff games before they went to the Super Bowl.
I was just going to show this. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. I'm just rambling here.
These are the pictures in front of me that you can't see. All Boston Celtic photos.
Oh, look at that. Those are all Boston Celtic photos. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, big Celtic fan.
Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Let's see. So anyway, I got to see a lot of Niners games. Then I got to see a bunch of Lakers games too. I got to see the very first Lakers game, basketball game that Kobe Bryant ever played in. He was like fresh out of high school. They put him in just for like 4 or 5 minutes because he was so green as far as the pro league, And so after that, I started, going to more Lakers games. It was a lot of fun doing that. And then I had a group of friends that had season tickets for, of all things, the Raiders. Oh my God. Every one of those games was an experience. A friend of mine's dad worked for a big construction company, and he rented the bus. And my son-in-law that was living with me bought me a ticket because this was his friend's dad. And it was a big group of us. A lot of us knew each other. So we head for the Raiders game, right? And I mean, I'm like the oldest guy. Well, no, his dad was the oldest guy. I'm the second oldest guy on the bus. So you got all these like 20-year-olds and stuff, and they're like holding funnels, and people are pouring cans of beer in them, and everybody's just getting backed up. And so I'm like, oh my, I'm not going to do that. And pretty soon they're like handing me the funnel, and like, okay, maybe one. And doing that thing where you pop the can or however you do it, and you hold it up, and it's like gone in a second. So we get up there, we're a little bit toasted, but before we get there, the bus breaks down. We stand on the side of the road for an hour waiting for another bus. We finally get to the game. Well, okay, before we get to the game, and this only happens at Raiders games, some guy that somebody said had been up on meth for 2 days goes back to the bathroom when my son-in-law is in the bathroom in the bus, and he goes to open the door, and my son-in-law is wanting to come out. His foot kicks the door, and it slams this guy in the face. And for some reason, somebody told my son-in-law's best friend, Joe Betchart, who needs no reason at all to fight. He loves to fight. Said, "Hey, Joe, somebody just punched Tim." And Joe flipped out. He jumped up and he didn't punch Tim. Tim actually kicked the door and it hit this guy. He run back there in the middle of the bus, right next to me in the aisleway. He hit that guy so hard, he slid backwards on the carpeted bus floor. And face just erupted in blood. He started going like this, like the Three Stooges, smearing his blood all over his face. And I felt like for the rest of that game, my son-in-law was so drunk. We got to the bleachers of the game, he passed out, and this guy kept walking back and forth like he wanted some payback. And so I had to sit there and stare him down every time he walked back and forth. And so we get ready to leave, and the bus doesn't pick us up. I'm like, okay, what else can go wrong? We had all this shit happen. We got the bus. Our bus broke down. Our bus now, the new bus hasn't picked us up yet. And here's a motorhome, and there's like strippers, prostitutes. I don't know what they were, but they were putting their naked butts and their naked breasts up against the glass for us to see while we were waiting for our bus to show up. So that's a Raiders game.
Was he down and out like this guy?
Oh yeah, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. That's Muhammad Ali. I just watched the movie on him with Will Smith 2 nights ago. Again, and that guy is my favorite athlete of all time.
Oh, by the way, Royce, I wanted to. We watched a movie. It's called oh crap. No, not oh crap.
I saw that one.
Malpractice. It was called. and we
Okay.
just watch it. And there's one thing that you know who the director was? That Mickey Dolenz, and
Mickey
I
Dolenz.
of the
Wow.
monkeys. Yes, and you wouldn't believe Mickey Dolenz is very, very talented. My God, he was into movies, directing movies, and all kinds of things.
Wow.
See yeah, he directed that movie, and the movie was pretty good actually, right? And yeah, I said to my wife, so my wife's saying, "Is that the same Mickey Dolenz from the month?" I said, "God, that's the only Mickey Dolenz I know."
I've ever heard
So
of.
so she looked it up and she said, "Yeah, sure enough, on his on Wikipedia, you'll see that he's been in all kinds of movies. His parents were into movies. They were in
Okay.
films, stuff like that.
Well,
Very talented person.
that's interesting, Johnny,
Yeah.
because I did this kind of a shorter movie, 12 minutes or something like that. It was a pre-recorded, and it was Jimi Hendrix opening for the Monkees on tour. And the whole story went down. Jimi Hendrix, he'd gone to England with Chas Chandler. He had 3 hit songs. He came back, he did Monterey Pop, and then things were kind of falling flat for him. He wasn't getting the traction. When he was in England, the Beatles were in the audience, the Rolling Stones were in the audience. It was who's of rock royalty watching Jimi Hendrix, this new amazing psychedelic guitar player. Everybody came to see him and everybody loved him. But when he got back to the United States, he wasn't getting that kind of, attention. So the managers got together and said, the same thing was happening to Eric Burden. So we paired him with kind of a pop group, and he went on tour with him, and he increased his audience. He increased his listening audience and fan base. So why don't we have Jimi Hendrix open for the Monkees, who are huge? So hard to imagine, because here's Jimi Hendrix, acid rock god or whatever.
Yeah,
and
really.
you've got the Monkees, who are sort of a made-for-television boys band for the movie. But they were talented, and I'm not. When I say that, I'm not putting them down, but that's how they were described by a lot of people. So what happened was, he went out on concert with them. He went to the first concert, and he'd go, "Foxy lady," and he'd beckon people to get involved. And the 14-year-old girls in the front row with their parents would scream, "Foxy Davy!" And he'd go, "Foxy lady." And they go, "Foxy Davy." And this went on, and they didn't give 2 shits about Jimi Hendrix. They wanted the frickin' Monkees to take the stage. So finally, after I think it was like maybe the 6th show out of what was supposed to be 26 or 7 shows, he threw his guitar back and it flipped the audience off and stomped off the stage and quit the tour.
Jimi Hendrix started out with Joey D and the Starlighters, and Joe Pesci was also in that band, not at the same time, but that's how they started.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Well, let's see. Mr. Rick did answer our questions on the quadrophonic album. He says it'll play on anything, but you need a CD4 cartridge and a decoder to hear it in quad.
Oh, really? Oh.
I didn't know any of that.
I wanted to answer Jeff Davidson. Did you ever see OJ play? He had up, and I got this
Okay,
picture.
no, but OJ was a sports hero of mine. I was a fullback on the freshman football team in high school, and I specifically chose number 32 because it was OJ's number. And I watched all of those, Trojan game, USC Trojan games.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of him. Okay, what do you got there? Let me put you up. Oh, here we go.
OJ
there's
Simpson, Man of the Year.
Man of the Year, yeah.
Southern Cal.
What he died about a week ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. What an amazing runner. I mean, just mind-boggling, how good he was.
Yeah, there's no denying he was a good athlete, but the following previous years, all the stuff that happened kind of put a sour taste in my mouth.
Oh, very sour. I don't know how many people heard me tell this story, but a friend of mine, he used to like to gamble a lot, and they would give him anything he wanted. And you could take, if you went with him to Vegas, you get helicopter tours of the Grand Canyon, whatever you wanted. You want to go shoot machine guns at a gun place, they could go shoot machine guns. You could. That's cool. Yeah, right on. Buffalo Bills. Yeah, that was his team, the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Right on.
Got a little of everything.
So anyway, they sent my friend two tickets to go see Sugar Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya fight. So we're sitting there waiting for the fighters, and in walks Lennox Lewis in a impeccable pinstripe suit. He walks around the ring, and he was a champion at the time. Everybody's standing up and applauding. And then they point out Thomas Hearns, and he's standing. Boxing royalty is there on these big fights, And so they call out, Thomas Hearns. He stands up and takes a bow. And then they started calling out all these different, big dog fighters that were in there. And so it was kind of cool because we're all checking them out. And let's see, James Watson disappeared. I don't know what happened there. Okay, now what's going on? Now I got a black screen again. Makes you larger, what makes you small. Okay, so let's see.
You going to do a George Borden 24 hours?
No. In fact, what I really want to do is get the rest of the chat messages out. And then we're going to sign off because we've been going now for actually almost almost 2.5 hours. Wow. That
it's been fun.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a long one for me. Exit the solo layout. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, let's see. All right. So anyway, folks, this is not the way I wanted to end it. not the way I wanted to end it.
Where did everybody go?
I don't know. I'm like totally frustrated with this.
Oh no.
So anyway, I'm gonna scroll through the chat. This has been a really long show.
It has, but it was fun.
It was fun. This is kind of the happy hour of the show, where we all everybody it's just kind of a little bit of a free for all. People can talk about what they want, they can show what they want. Okay. Chris Elliott, Dan Goucher, watched the whole period of hockey and you're still on. No shit. Music Sanctuary, American Tailgate Party at a football game. Ours aren't worth writing about. Well, some of them are. Yeah, okay. They were real polite at the 49ers games, wine and cheese at the tailgate parties. But then when you got to the Raiders parties, oh man, all hell broke loose. I mean, those were some tailgate parties. There was a big group of people from my hometown that went to every single home game, and man, they went all out. The food and stuff was just like food and drink was just insane.
Wow.
Okay, folks, we're winding down here. There's still more. Boy, I'd really like to do my clothes, but it has to be a picture of me to do that. See what the hell happened anyway? If I go, let's see if that'll change something. Yes, I hit a cancel button. I was afraid everything was going to go down, but yet that put us back on. Okay, Michael Nolan. Mickey Dolenz was circus boy on TV when he was a kid. That's right. Yeah, circus boy. Okay, Dan. What is happening? We're back in business, brother. James Watson. Caitlin's Magical Corner. Check her out, folks. Music Sanctuary. I met Muhammad Ali. He came for a charity boxing match against our hockey enforcer, then Dave Semenko. He was doing some training at the gym I took karate at. Well, that's really cool. Wow. Yeah, you know what? You used to be able to go to these sports shows. In Muhammad Ali, they'd pay him $10,000 for the day to just shake hands and greet people. And I really missed out on some autographed boxing gloves from him. I was a huge fan of his, and I had most of his fights on VHS tapes, the Thrilla in Manila, and all of them. Frazier 1 and 2, and I don't have a VH player anymore, but I still have them. Okay, Dr. Rick, good night. Thanks for joining us, brother. We really appreciate having you here. So anyway, folks, we've run out of time, maybe an hour ago or so, and we're going to sign off now. A couple of people's chat just popped in. I don't want to lose sight of that. And that's what's going on in Royce's world today. And thank you all so much for joining me. Daddy Boggs, it was a pleasure. Johnny L., Sir James, everybody that came in, Psychos Platters, you're all appreciated. Everybody in the chat is like really appreciated. Michael Nolan, got to get you on here for the next one. The national anthem. Yeah. Blood-sucking freaks got something else to say. Good fight, good night. Okay, everybody. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm hitting the end stream button right now. And good.